Can
NK
anyone tell me
Books.
whether that video is real or post-production? Soon after, a professional spoke up, "It's real. Although it's unimaginable, I watched it 7 or 8 times and found no sign of editing. I thought the Gao Chao Financial Group was attacked by terrorists with heavy weapons, but the culprit was one person? How did he do that? Has the Gao Chao Financial Group gone mad? They really did illegal human experiments? Has the government gone mad too? The evidence is solid, yet they refuse to act? What's wrong with this world? I feel like I'm watching a fantasy blockbuster, but you're telling me the video is real? The current world record for a 100-meter dash is 9.58 seconds, and now some random boy ran 8.57. How is that possible? A weak girl lifting a car barehanded? From now on, I'll never see the word weak the same. As a man, I feel much weaker than her. Shock, confusion, accusation, every kind of reaction appeared. In the end, public opinion converged into one voice: Gao Chao Financial Group indeed conducted human experiments, so why isn't the government responding? Because the video went viral at night, the event spread rapidly. When the government realized and tried to delete, suppress, or cool down the topic, it was too late. Furious citizens flooded the official government Weibo, demanding an explanation. The government was in a bind. Recently, no one knew how to define the so-called game, and those who saw the data might or might not be illegal enhanced individuals. If they were officially labeled as such, even one could trigger accidents, endangering everyone around. Secondly, to clarify the situation, the government would have to explain everything from the start. But if they did, even those originally not considered illegal would become so. Thus, it was truly a dilemma. While officials were panicking, someone knowledgeable came out to educate the public. Everyone calm down, don't criticize the government too harshly. Think first, where did this information come from? It's all from inside Gao Chao Financial Group. If the victims' families hadn't leaked it, how could the government verify or handle it? Checking the procedure alone won't reveal anything. Years ago, Gao Chao Financial Group publicly announced they were researching new drugs and recruiting volunteers across the Federation. Before signing, they clearly stated the experiment involved certain dangers and a risk of death. Once the volunteers signed willingly, Gao Chao Financial Group paid them generously. If they survived, the contract ended. If they died, the company compensated their families. The entire process followed the principle of voluntary participation. If someone died, their family received huge compensation. So for a long time, vagrants or terminally ill patients often came to sign up voluntarily. If the government intervened without cause, it would be criticized instead. The key issue is that Gao Chao Financial Group secretly conducted immoral experiments where the death rate became 100%. To make it easier to understand, the knowledgeable person gave an example. For instance, someone voluntarily signed to donate organs after death, then a few months later died in a car accident, and the organs were donated to several people. To show gratitude, those recipients later donated money to the deceased's family. The whole process looks like a money for organs deal, but because it was voluntary, it can't be considered that. Government, thanks for making it worse. After reading the post, the people indeed stopped blaming the government for inaction, they started blaming it for not legislating against such cases sooner. So before officials could even draft a proper explanation, they were already being chased to create new laws. Someone suggested, why not ban Gao Chao's official Weibo account? But the idea was rejected. Immediately, no way. We can't even give a decent explanation. If we shut it down, people will think we're hiding something. That'll make it worse. During the argument, a new rumor emerged: I think this winter's flu is unusual, it's too severe. Could it be another masterpiece from Gao Chao Financial Group? The government didn't punish them before and now pretends to be dead, must be some shady deal. The current administration always seemed good, how did it suddenly fall apart? You say nothing, do nothing, it's terrifying. Whatever the reason, at least explain. The relevant departments immediately held an emergency meeting, hoping to adopt public suggestions and find a plausible excuse that wouldn't expose the evolution game. In her office, Ning Lu stared at her phone, completely puzzled. Weird things happen every year, but this year is ridiculous. I just took a nap, woke up, and heard Gao Chao Financial Group's headquarters got wiped out, and there's a bizarre video on their official Weibo. Watching it, the people in the video are far stronger than me. So there are more like me out there? No wonder you told me to stop working nights. If I ran into one of those freaks, my tiny body wouldn't last a single punch. Yun Han said, I didn't know it was this bad either. I nearly fainted seeing their Weibo this morning. Ning Lu frowned at her screen, muttering, they say when God wants to destroy someone, he first drives them mad. This feels like an omen of the apocalypse. Before Yun Han could respond, her phone rang. She took the chance to escape the grim topic, I'll get that. Sis, it's me. The voice on the other end was anxious and shaky. Yun Han froze. No bang? Yeah, it's me, No Bang's voice trembled. Sis, what do I do? I'm in trouble. What did you do? She asked, curious why he'd call her of all people. I secretly gave the data to Chao Yang. He got furious after reading it and destroyed Gao Chao Financial Group's headquarters. That lunatic even uploaded all the data to their official Weibo. If others see it, they might be branded as illegal enhanced individuals, it'll all be my fault. Yun Han, what does this have to do with you? She steadied her tone, calm down. What's done is done. Tell me everything clearly from the start, or I won't understand. Here's what happened. No Bang inhaled deeply. After the retirement home experiment ended, Bai Wei invited me to join Gao Chao Financial Group, promising good benefits. I wanted to investigate the mysterious deaths of the elderly, so I agreed. I worked diligently for months, gaining their trust. Then I discovered someone named Chao Yang, 20 years old. He'd passed his university exam but had to defer because of illness. His family was poor, his grandfather was also sick. One day, the old man heard from a friend that Gao Chao Financial Group was recruiting volunteers for paid experiments. The friend had joined years ago and survived without side effects. Tempted, the grandfather volunteered to earn money for Chao Yang's treatment. The day he signed, money was transferred to Chao Yang's account. Soon after, the grandfather was taken to a sealed facility for testing. Half a month later, he never came back, only his ashes did. Chao Yang was devastated, demanding answers. Gao Chao said the experiment failed, the volunteer died, and the risk had been clearly stated. They offered even more compensation, but Chao Yang refused. I sympathized with him and thought he could help me, so I told him about the retirement home and showed him part of my data. He was so enraged that his stats skyrocketed, and he awakened supernatural powers. Last night, he asked if the retirement home's director was at HQ. I didn't realize his intent and told him yes. He questioned me more, and I finally realized he wanted revenge. I tried to stop him, but it was too late. His power was combat type, and he had multiple abilities. I couldn't defeat him. Then, you know the rest. Chao Yang slaughtered Gao Chao's entire HQ but spared me. I tried telling myself it was justice, Bai Wei's dead, the company's gone, they deserved it for illegal experiments. But I never imagined Chao Yang would force the staff to reveal admin passwords and upload all internal data. No Bang's voice cracked again, trembling. I only wanted justice for the elderly, but I dragged countless innocents into this. His voice broke into sobs. Yun Han finally understood why he called her. She was also a participant in the retirement home experiment, and he just needed someone to talk to, maybe even to find a way out. But things had gone too far. Even if she wanted to help, there was no time. If I'd known it would turn out like this, I should have left after that experiment, No Bang cried, guilt overwhelming him. I didn't mean for this to happen. Yun Han sighed silently. Chao Yang awakened his power under trauma, not at rank A, so he didn't know about the evolution game. He likely released the data just to expose Gao Qiao's crimes. Yet by a cruel twist of fate, countless coincidences collided, leading to an irreversible disaster. No bang, sis. Save me. Yun Han lies down peacefully, pretends to be dead. Wu Bang took more than half a day to calm down and asked, "What should we do now?" Yun Han replied, "The federal government won't let this situation continue unchecked. Leave the aftermath to them, just go see a psychiatrist right away." The so-called evildoer, even after committing wrongs, can still sleep soundly at night, but the so-called good person, even when a single mistake unintentionally drags others into misery, will be tormented by guilt and unable to forgive themselves. Just from Wu Bang's tone, Yun Han could tell he urgently needed psychological help. Anything else? Wu Bang pressed, "Is there something I can still do?" Honestly, no. Once things blew up, if the government couldn't give a reasonable explanation, public anger would explode, turning into harsh blame and accusations of incompetence. If the government ignored all concerns and decided to tell the truth, the whole federation would end up celebrating the arrival of the era of evolution. "Tell everything about Gao Yang's case in full detail," Yun Han said calmly, "and if there's nothing else you can do, then at least quickly catch the murderer, it might buy some time." "Got it," Wu Bang said, as if receiving a grand directive, finally finding direction. The call ended. Yun Han leaned against the wall, face gloomy. "But my instinct tells me," she murmured, "this time we might not be able to hide it." While departments held emergency meetings to discuss countermeasures, online discourse had already spiraled out of control. "I've never had such a severe cold. Can this really be a natural virus mutation? I suspect it's lab-made. Did the government already know about superpowers? If yes, why hide it? If no, how could they be so incompetent? That science blogger before made me panic. So many accidents lately, so many deaths, could all the organ donation agreements after death be related?" The Federation preaches equality and freedom, but in reality financial conglomerates crush ordinary citizens. No matter what happens, the government hides everything. Citizens deserve the right to know. We demand the truth from the Federation. We'll march in protest. We'll defend our legal rights. While the meeting was still underway, an urgent notice arrived. Every city had thousands marching in protest, and police were already dispatched. Everyone in the room fell silent. "If we can't find an excuse, then just tell the truth," said the deputy minister gravely. His words triggered a wave of objections. "No. That could bring about human extinction. The consequences are too serious, no one can take responsibility. Just reading the files already counts as being part of this illegal awakening event. If we release them, everyone's at risk." Everyone knew, but no one said it aloud, that if the public really learned the truth, they would soon turn around and curse the government for not keeping it secret. No one wanted to become the scapegoat. So everyone agreed, pretend to heed public opinion, and quickly come up with a somewhat convincing explanation. "I think hiding it is useless," said the deputy minister slowly. "Better to tell the truth, explain how those people survive, and how to increase survival chances." But, before anyone could argue, another emergency report arrived. Southern region just got hit by a hailstorm, 1 dead, 32 injured. Crops destroyed, yield expected to drop over half. Next city over dense fog, visibility
NK
under 3
books.
meters, dozens of traffic accidents. Eastern city, snowstorm, temperature below -20, widespread power outages, the room went dead silent.
Coincidence? Impossible.
Hail, fog, snow, power failure all striking at once, sudden and fierce. "Admit it," the deputy minister urged again, denying won't stop disasters. "The sooner we educate and prepare the people, the more lives we save."
The minister sighed wearily. "Fine, issue a factual
statement, but omit mention of the evolution game.
Prepare a public vote, let citizens decide whether to reveal it or not." Official Federation Weibo just posted an announcement.
Nin Luo, who followed the news closely, opened it. All humanity is facing a grave challenge. For various reasons, details cannot be disclosed. Please trust the government, we will handle it properly. If you trust, vote believe the government will handle it well. If you don't, vote I don't trust the government, I must know the truth. Voting ends in 3 days. Every citizen has one vote. If you don't vote, you waive your right. What kind of circus is this? Nin Luo muttered. Just tell the truth. Why dress it up like a festival? Yun Han, however, understood. If this concerns humanity's fate, then humanity should decide together. Whether that meant walking hand in hand toward destruction, who could say? What will you vote? Nin Luo asked. I'll vote to trust, Yun Han sighed. This time the government really has it rough. It said nothing, yet you still trust? The notice says, for various reasons, they can't make it public. Nin Luo hesitated, torn inside. She wanted to follow Yun Han's vote, but in the end tears welled up as she clicked don't trust. I choose to know the truth, even if it kills me. Yun Han didn't blame her. She understood that was an ordinary citizen's choice. 3 days passed. The don't trust option won 71%, a landslide. People poured into the streets celebrating. A great victory for democracy. Citizens deserve the right to know. Now you have no excuses, tell us everything. Yun Han watched the joyous crowd and couldn't help but think of a world dancing before its own end. Before the cameras, government officials sat solemnly. According to the vote results, the Federation has decided to reveal the truth. What we say next may sound absurd, but please believe we are not lying. Years ago, we noticed abnormal rises in fatal accidents. After investigation, we found it was all part of a selection process and evolution game. Those who survive accidents and rescue 10 or more people directly will be rated Grade A. Upon reaching Grade A, a transparent interface appears before them, revealing the truth. Through irregular channels they gain the debuff misfortune entwined. Attaining Grade A once or multiple times removes this debuff. The misfortune entwined state brings continuous bad luck and recurring accidents, sometimes dragging others down too. The game has 4 attributes: strength, agility, stamina, and spirit. Escaping death grants attribute points. Standard adult female stats: strength 0.5, agility 0.5, stamina 0.5, spirit 0.8. Standard adult male: strength 0.6, agility 0.6, stamina 0.6, spirit 0.5. Reaching thresholds 3, 6, 9 grants special abilities. The crowd that once cheered now froze, expressions blank. What nonsense was this? Was that really a government spokesman? Though he spoke the Federation's standard language, people could barely comprehend the meaning. The briefing ended. All information on the evolution game will be available on the official website, the man concluded. Originally to spare you misfortune, we kept it hidden. But a corporate leak made secrecy impossible. To help you survive, the government will summarize strategies and publish them online, please study them carefully. Finally, he looked into the camera solemnly. The era of evolution has arrived. Please strive to survive. The broadcast ended. People awoke from shock, grabbing phones, frantically searching. Is that real? Does this evolution game truly exist? Why is reality turning into fantasy? Someone tell me it's fake. Too many searches crashed the engines. Panic deepened. It's the apocalypse. Humanity is finished. The planet will perish. Amid the chaos, some cursed the government. Why let the public vote? You should have kept it secret. Others wept bitterly. It wasn't the government, it was us. We forced them, we demanded the truth. Now the truth was out, and all humanity stood on the brink of ruin. There are just people being people, so why, merely because an internal dossier from the Chow Chow Financial Group leaked by accident, did everyone suddenly become criminal gratitude exploiters? A few folks teamed up to flip through the materials on the group's official Weibo, and they discovered that in a paper-like report image the words evolution game did appear, yet once they found it they wanted to cry harder. On a sheet crammed with text, evolution game shows up exactly once. Who could even notice it? I saw that image before, glanced at it and moved on, never looked closely. How did I become a gratitude exploiter? You'd need a magnifying glass to trace every character and drag it out. I refuse to accept this. Others cursed. Damn the Chow Chow Financial Group. Why write this kind of thing at all? If they never wrote the report nothing would have happened. A friend tugged him and whispered, that's an internal document. By rights only those with approval could open it. The man froze, then cursed again. Damn the murderer. Kill if you kill. Why publish internal materials? Who wants to see that? A few days ago you did not talk like this. Friends awkwardly called him out. In the office, Ning Lu was scared stiff by the government's announcement. What is this? How did a perfectly real world turn into a game? Panic made the words trip over themselves. Most likely real, Van Han analyzed. In a situation like this they will not be joking. So anyone who heard it may meet with accidents. Ning Lu's face went blank, which means the extinction of humankind is at hand. Van Han saw it differently. This is an evolution game, not a plan to wipe humans out. There must be a way to live, that is, better. Ning Lu clearly exhaled in relief. Van Han lowered her gaze. What she did not say was that the game demanded evolution, and how many died along the way probably would not matter. While she was thinking, the shop owner's wife came in wrapped in a thick scarf and coughing. Ahem. Before she could speak, the pressure of the cough led the way. After a long fit she barely suppressed it. Van Han, come here, I have something to tell you. Okay. Van Han rose and followed. At the corner the owner's wife softened her voice. This round of flu, they say the weaker the body the worse it shows. Old Young nearly could not hold on. Thankfully our home is near the hospital so we got him there in time. The doctor's fee was hefty, bowed and scraped to save him back. He drank every day before and felt nothing. Now the trouble hit we realized the foundation of his body has been hollowed out. In just 1 month he almost died twice. I am truly afraid something will happen to him. So later I plan to close the supermarket and force him to the gym every day. After all this I have figured it out. Money is outside the body. Without the person it is useless. Alright, I respect your decision. Van Han agreed readily, thinking of how I had urged you to come work. My heart has been uneasy. The owner's wife looked at her apologetically. Rest assured, the payout I will certainly give roughly in full. So much has happened lately, who could have predicted it? Van Han in turn comforted her. After this I may not stay in this city. Even if the supermarket keeps running, I might not remain. Is that not the truth? The owner's wife was struck right in the heart and her eyes welled. Damn this flu, it is about to grind us to death, and the government even says there will be more and more challenges to face. Old Yang and I are already older. If we do not start training there will be scarcely a point's chance to live. She had wanted to chat longer but the cold made her throat burn. A few extra sentences felt like torture, so she hurried to close. When we settle accounts, besides what is due, I will give you another half a year's salary. Thank you, boss lady. Van Han did not refuse. The streetlights had just come on, wind knifed to the bone, and once the accounts were settled Van Han was unemployed again. By the roadside people clustered to argue hotly. In the south there was hail. I heard only one person was struck and did not make it in time. The rest are fine. The neighboring city was worse, thick smog. They say at a crossroads there was a chain traffic accident, over 10 dead and more than 30 injured. The worst is to the east, temperatures below over 20 degrees, and the entire city's power was cut. The government is trying to fix it fast but may not succeed. Under weather like this, if the power is out for 1 week, who knows how many will die, and all these accidents, they say, are because of the bad luck bound debuff. How did I not control my hand earlier and vote no confidence? One person clawed his own hand and smacked it hard, face full of regret. 71% turnout, a few ballots of ours changing nothing. A friend sighed. It has come to this. Think about how to live from now on. I saw on the official site they said if you get a grade A then you are fine. A grade A is not that easy. Another despaired. I cannot even save myself. How do I save 10 people? In the past, over 10 deaths already counted as a rare major incident. The pressure of emotion spread, each person more broken than the last. One forced spirit and tried to comfort the rest. Think on the bright side, go through a few more rounds. Save a few more people, your stats will slowly go up. Once you awaken superpowers, why fear failing, eh? And superpowers are cool anyway. I used to hope I was a superhero, who knew in this life there would be a chance to touch the dream. He aimed to encourage, yet as he spoke even he sagged. with no trace of excitement. Alas, the sighs were contagious, one after another, their gloom beyond words. Van Han did not stop and hurried past them. She rushed toward her rental, but at the estate entrance she halted. What was the haste for? No one waited inside. Her right hand fished out the phone and stroked the screen. Should she call him? Now that a debuff lay upon the populace, perhaps being at her side would be safer. Van Han, for once, was torn. Just then a fond cry sounded behind her. Han Han. The voice felt both strange and familiar. She started and turned, an all too familiar face appeared before her, its owner smiling. Han? Han, long time no see, I missed you so much. Van Han stared blankly, for a heartbeat, suspecting she had yearned so long that she had conjured a hallucination. Han Han, it has been 6 years, did you not miss me? Sha Dui drooped, aggrieved. Van Han recovered. How are you here? I saw your social app location. At that he grew excited again. Since the end of the world is here, maybe we die tomorrow, staying by your side should be fine. Right, Van Han was speechless. Along the way she had seen so many sunk in despair, this was the first who felt happy, knowing it is the end. Why are you so cheerful? Sha Dui only smiled in silence. Because I have always wanted to see you and never found a proper excuse. With doomsday descending I finally have a reason to run to you. Smiling silly again, Van Han poked the puppy's cheek. Sha Dui did not dodge, even leaned close for her to poke, mumbling, it is the end of the world. Before I die I must at least see you once. Right, it is the end. Van Han's eyes wavered, a little moved. The earlier nightmare had a sequel. After Grandma died, to help her adjust and step out early, Sha Dui suggested a trip. Van Han agreed and chose the destination herself. The journey was joyful, the sights delightful, but just before they were to leave, she noticed black haze on many residents. At first she thought a large-scale incident was imminent and told Sha Dui she planned to stay a few more days, determined to stop disaster. She later discovered most residents were dying of a strange illness called water mercury disease. Industrial wastewater had polluted the environment, organic mercury flowed into the river, and people who for long ate contaminated seafood, fish, shrimp, clams slowly suffered chronic mercury poisoning. Organic mercury invaded brain nerve cells, and in mild cases speech slurred, gait staggered, the face dulled, limbs tingled, sensation failed, sight was lost, hands and feet deformed. In severe cases the mind deranged, excitation ran too high, the body arched and screamed, until death. Residents who for long ate tainted catch were already critical, and the black haze was a sign that death neared. Once she uncovered the truth, Van Han nearly went mad. For those days she and Sha Dui had toured there and eaten plenty of local seafood. The destination was her choice, the decision to stay longer was hers. If Sha Dui had suffered permanent neural damage because of it, she could never forgive herself. Without any delay she dragged him for a full checkup. Thankfully the result showed he was healthy, and only then did she let him go like someone drained to emptiness. Han Han, is it settled? College is about to start. Let us head back first. Lucky we passed the same university. We can. Sha Dui. Van Han cut him off. I cannot go. He stiffened. Did we not agree to study at the same university? I chose the place and nearly harmed you. Even now the memory chilled her. Who would think the water was the problem? NK Books. Who, traveling, would refuse the local specialties, yet those most ordinary choices almost hurt the one she cared about most. Van Han even began to suspect she carried death upon herself. Those close to her would not end well. It was an accident. Sha Dui tried to explain. He truly did not mind then nor mind meeting such things again if it was with her. If you stay with me, it will not be scattered accidents but an everyday pattern. Van Han slowly yet firmly shook her head. Only you, under no circumstances, can anything happen to. What do you plan? He asked softly. Van Han looked to the sky. I will go to another city and study philosophy. We should separate for now. I do not agree. He refused without thinking. Van Han fell silent. After many attempts he still could not sway her, and at last he could only accept. At 18 they were forced to part. From then on, every so often, Sha Dui would post a single dot on social media. What mattered, of course, was not the content but the attached location. Understanding his meaning, Van Han would, when changing cities, also post a dot to update where she stood. Time flowed like water. 4 years of university, 2 years of work, accidents big and small dogged Van Han's side, and she never felt sure she would not implicate those near. Just then the end of the world descended. As she hesitated over seeking him, he ran to her first. Do not chase me away. I am not leaving. Van Han sighed and embraced Sha Dui as if embracing fate. All right, then we live or die together. Either they live together or die together. At any rate, they would not part again. 6 years apart should have built a wall between them, yet Van Han felt none of it. On the outside Sha Dui was tall and handsome, and inside he was still the one she knew. Chicken curry with potatoes. I remember this is your favorite. Try it and see if I made it right. He watched her expectantly. Van Han sipped a mouthful and looked up in surprise. It is delicious. I learned several recipes. From now on I will make them all for you. Tu Due laughed. Spicy crab, black pepper beef over rice, fresh shrimp udon. I know many more and want you to taste them. Van Han hesitated. I remember you enrolled in information engineering at university. Why did it feel like he had gone to culinary school instead? I did not keep going. Tu Due said casually. You did not go, so why should I? Her hand paused. You quit school. Then where have you been these years? Working as a bodyguard. He shoveled in a big spoon of curry and chatted. I registered for information engineering because the internet said it was easy to get a job with good pay. Then I thought bodyguards earn even more, no degree required, and it trains the body. Every angle looked good, so I took the offer. You. Van Han was speechless. She had sent him away to keep him safe, yet after leaving her he went somewhere even more dangerous. It is fine, food and lodging covered, pay is high, and the cooks are nice. He had no complaints. I ask how to make dishes and they teach me. At that his eyes sparkled. Han, do you want anything? I can buy it for you, idiot. Do not blow your sweat money. She thought, then asked softly, have you seen a transparent interface? No. What is that? Think of it as a kind of credential. She was unsure. If you have it, the chance of danger drops. Though the streets were full of illegal appreciators and it was easy to be implicated, getting to it was still better than not being a. Tu Due did not care about credentials and just kept eating. Van Han wanted to sigh again. Are you free tomorrow? Before taking a bodyguard job I turned it down, so I am free these days. Did you not just get paid? Treat me to an amusement park. He froze, then brightened. Okay, decided. Tomorrow we go. Watching him bounce. She thought there was a notorious extreme park in the city with a sky-high accident rate, a dangerous funland that slapped a bad luck Kling's debuff on everyone. She would find a chance to get him to A and clear the debuff. She picked the park called Death Funland. Before the evolution game went public at scale it had already seen many guest injuries, yet because people chased tension and thrills it had become an influencer check-in sanctuary, crowds rising instead of falling. At 9 in the morning they had their tickets checked and entered with many others. While she studied the map a loud man boomed, what evolution game? What bad luck Klings? Just because there is danger should we stop living? I do not believe any of it. Maybe the government made up a story to duck responsibility and dupe the people. Van Han thought, do not be stubborn, you had better believe it. A head popped over her shoulder. Han, where do we go first? She searched a while and decided, the high mountain slide. The ride sent guests by cable car to the summit, then down a sled, with a lever on the sled, push to speed up, pull to slow down, in theory anyway. But players reported the lever was often unresponsive. Either you shot down too fast or got rammed from behind going too slow. They walked a bit and reached the slide. There was only a single track and no other safety measures. She observed and quickly thought through how to save people. Just then someone came off the peak. At first his speed was modest, so he pushed the lever to accelerate. When fast enough he tried to slow, but no matter how he pulled the speed did not drop. Panic crept over his face. In a blink the sled hit a curve and flung him off. Tu Due jolted. Han, he clutched her sleeve. This is too dangerous. Let us not play. Ahead the injured man was still groaning. She pulled out her phone and called for help. Park staff arrived quickly, expertly lifted the injured onto a stretcher and said they would take him to the infirmary. No sooner had one gone than another guest came sliding down, this time a lady, cautious and controlling her speed, but a man behind her tore down at a blazing pace. The track was too narrow and allowed only one sled at a time. Soon they collided, flew off the track, and suffered minor injuries of varying degrees. Van Han called the internal park number again. Tu Due tugged her back, clearly wanting her far from the slide. She stepped back a few paces and kept watching. After a moment she sighed, let us go check somewhere else. The high mountain slide would injure guests, but mostly only to this extent. First, the gaps between runs made it hard to gather 10 at once. Second, the injury modes differed and were hard to prevent. Better to spend time on another attraction. Death Funland had already been covered online with countless reports laying out its dangers. Those who still came now were all brave souls and likely mentally prepared, so she did not plan to over-persuade. Most would only suffer light wounds. Hearing her say go, he hurried her away without looking back. The second stop was the rope swing. Unlike elsewhere, guests had to grasp a rope and swing back and forth over a lake. At the right moment they let go and dropped into the water. It sounded fine, but from the guides she read, some with weak grip missed and fell in the wrong spot, sometimes even onto rocks. Even with a good grip and a clean drop the lake water was icy cold and plunging and made guests shiver. Even so the swing remained a famed influencer check-in. For pretty photos and thrilling videos some even posed mid-air and flipping backward was commonplace. As soon as they arrived she strode forward. This
Ride has a certain level of danger. I suggest you do not play. The man looked around until he realized she meant him. You talking to me? She nodded. Judging by your complexion, your heart is not great. I advise against a high-intensity thrill. He not only ignored her but got angry. Do you know how long I queued? Why can I not play? Then signaled staff to harness him. She fell silent and stepped back. Others only had a light gray mist around them, but this one already had a death countdown. If he did not value his life, let it be. When she returned, she found Tu Due lingering and was about to speak when he beat her to it. Han Han has not changed at all, still like before. She tilted her head, always suddenly rushing to save people. He grinned. Kind at heart and a good person. I like Han Han the most. She could hear he meant it and felt a twinge of guilt. I am not as good as you say. While they spoke, the man swung out, long anticipating the moment, with such over-designed posing he seemed to stand on air above the lake. There was a splash, he entered the water, but after a long while he did not surface. Staff checked and found him unconscious with eyes closed. A guest is drowning, rescue now. Chaos ensued. Curious, Tu Due whispered. How did you see his heart problem? She murmured. I did not, but the internet says the accidents here are often people with bad hearts. So she predicted the result first and then back-solved the cause. That is impressive, he said in awe. She thought she had good reason to cherish him, a puppy so obedient and adorable, who could not love him. Do not test humanity with a puppy, because no one can pass. Not far away the man was hauled ashore. Staff began chest compressions, 1, then 2, then 3. After roughly 8 parts out of 10 of effort he still did not wake. Onlookers swelled, faces showing shades of fear. The anxious lead explained. Chest compressions usually require sticking with it for half an hour. It has only been 5 minutes, so we cannot give up. We will try our best. The infirmary team is on the way with equipment and will arrive at once. As he spoke, the doctor arrived, just as the man's death countdown ticked back to the spirit side. Van Han shook her head. Let us go. Third stop, the broken track roller coaster. Normal coasters have continuous rails, but this park differed. Guests boarded, and when the car reached the end of a segment, one end of the rail lifted and the other dropped, rotating from horizontal to a slope to meet the next segment. Han Han, even before they reached the platform, Tu Due froze again. He could not fathom why every ride here was so extreme. I will not ride, only take a look, she coaxed, and he relaxed. Queue up, board in order. Staff kept order. She saw clearly that those about to board were wrapped in dense dark gray mist, a sign the trip would be joyless. She suddenly told him, I have a very bad feeling about this one. Let us not ride, and he nodded quickly. I feel the same. Better not. High mountain slide and rope swing drew inspiration from the action park in the United States, also nicknamed Death Park and Killer Park, where real accidents existed. The broken track roller coaster drew inspiration from a segmented coaster in Hefei that had no incidents, only that when I learned of it I could not help wondering what if the mechanism failed. Some parts referenced video materials. I am the comment porter, the tag adorable puppy male lead appears has popped. Later we will ponder life together. Will you arrange a job for the male lead? The tag female lead works a few months and takes home years of pay, so envy I could cry. The female lead earns by skill, saying the pay lies is not so. Scaredy cats should switch attractions. Don't stand here spouting nonsense and messing up other people's fun, a burly man barked. Yun Han looked up. What a coincidence. It was the same guy who, when they first entered the park, had bluntly said he did not believe the evolution game existed. The loudmouth showed not a hint of fear. Before the roller coaster even launched, he threw Yun Han a taunting glance. By contrast, for schoolgirls willingly gave up their seats so the guests behind could board first. They said, we're not in a rush, let's watch how it goes. As they spoke, they were thinking they had come to relax, not to gamble with their lives. Better to confirm the equipment was safe before riding. If you're timid, why ride a roller coaster at all? The man muttered, not even sure to whom he was talking. Yun Han smiled and told Xiao Due, wait here a bit, I want to watch them finish before we go. Okay, Xiao Due agreed. So long as Yun Han was not the one getting on, everything was negotiable. Soon the coaster was filled and the machinery started up. From level ground the track lifted into a slope of about 60 degrees, and the riders screamed, half thrilled, half keyed up. Just as everyone waited for the daring plunge, the roller coaster stopped. What's going on? Whispered the 4 girls who had not boarded. Why has it been stuck so long? I've seen videos online, it dives right away. Hey, up there, riders shouted, but the train stayed frozen, hanging in midair. At that moment the whole queue, front and back alike, panicked. What happened? Why did it stop? This is killing me.
I've never feared roller coasters, but if you stop like this, I'm losing it. Just give us a clean end already. The loud man's face warped with fright, his roar echoed through the park. Is no one in charge? The roller coaster is on strike. Staff below scrambled to radio for help. Not long after, maintenance arrived. Roughly 20 minutes later, the riders were finally let down. The instant their feet touched the ground, they wobbled, faces bloodless, one after another looking drained. The loud man's lips trembled, for a long while he could not form words. Having seen enough, Yunhan tugged Xiaodui away. Let's go. Fourth stop, the mine railway. Compared with the roller coaster, the mine cars were much safer. The track lay on the ground and the speed was not as fast. The route had many bends, riders often felt they would be flung off at any moment, which made it exhilarating. From a design standpoint, it counted as a relatively safe attraction. Even so, Xiaodui remained extremely cautious. Let's not ride yet, let others try first. Looking at the people at the head of the line, Yunhan offered a kind warning. I don't think it's very safe, best not to get on. It was artfully said. In truth, she was speaking to the folks up front, but to others it sounded like she was talking to her companion, Xiaodui, so even if they were unhappy, they would not openly rebuke her. Not long after she spoke, the mine cars carried a group around the course and returned safely. Everyone in that batch came back fine. The new group assessed Yunhan with unreadable expressions, then boarded without hesitation. Yunhan, never mind helping Xiaodui dispel his debuff, she could not even dissuade strangers. Anyone bold enough to come play in a death park was, unsurprisingly, iron-nerved. Wanna watch? Asked Xiaodui. Let's, Yunhan said, checking the time on her phone. When it's over we'll head to the cafeteria. Then a little longer. The mine train started. They passed through an artificial desert into a tunnel. Right then the train derailed. The two passengers in the front row were badly injured and knocked unconscious. One rider dared to jump off to run for help, others were trapped in the cars until staff arrived to rescue them. Two employees, hiding in a corner, whispered. Didn't I say the mine? Cars were making a weird clanking while running, that we should call maintenance and keep it closed for now? The other replied, guests have been queued almost an hour, how do we tell them we're shutting it and to go elsewhere? I knew there was a strange noise, but the last few runs were fine. I didn't expect this time. At that moment a third person joined them. We found it, the development direction hub on the locomotive was missing 2 bolts, the axle seized, the engine dipped, the rear cars hit the tunnel ceiling, the force also snapped the drawbar, so the train jumped the rails. The three looked at one another and fell silent. Given the distance and their low voices, Yunhan should not have heard, but as her attributes had risen, her hearing and sight had been greatly enhanced, she caught every word. The misfortune-entwined debuff seems to turn incidents that might happen into ones that will happen, she thought. I'm hungry, shall we eat? The voice cut off her musing. Yunhan nodded. Let's go. They spotted the cafeteria, pushed the door, and entered, and Yunhan froze at the scene, thick black miasma, and countdown timers everywhere. At once she realized an opportunity had arrived. She studied what the people with countdowns were eating and signaled to Xiaodui, the braised tofu with wood ear fungus is the problem, tell them not to sell it. Okay. Xiaodui obediently headed over. Just then a feisty girl rushed to the counter. What is wrong with you people? My friend ate your food and has been clutching her stomach. Please don't make baseless claims, the manager said sternly as he hurried over. We use only fresh ingredients, absolutely no issue. Did your friend eat something else first and only then come dine here? The girl wavered. After all, who visits a park and does not snack, and stomachaches might come from street food. But thinking back, all the snacks along the way were shared between the two of them, only the cafeteria meal was eaten by her friend alone, as she herself had already filled up on snacks and declined. With that in mind she straightened her back and raised her voice. Your food is the problem. I ate other things and I'm fine, only the stuff from your cafeteria was eaten by my friend alone, and not long after she was doubled over. The manager found it hard to argue. Right on cue, other patrons developed stomach cramps, some grew dizzy and nauseous and could not stop vomiting.
What is happening?
Call an ambulance now, the manager cried, drenched in sweat. If that many customers were poisoned by their food, the cafeteria was finished. In the middle of the chaos, a kitchen runner sprinted out, shouting from afar, "Stop selling the braised tofu with wood ears."
Now what?
A vein throbbed on the manager's forehead.
Well, the runner stammered. Say it clearly in front of everyone, the girl snapped, seizing his sleeve.
I've already called the authorities, don't think you can handwave this.
Cornered, the runner bowed his head and confessed.
Our head chef is elderly, his memory's poor, he soaked one batch of wood ears, then forgot and soaked another. When cooking he used the first batch. Soaking too long lets bacteria bloom, eating them harms the body, case closed. No wonder there was food poisoning despite supposedly fresh ingredients. The manager's vision darkened, he forced himself to rally and barked, "Why are you all standing around?
Get them to the infirmary, now!"
At the same time, the girl who had been protesting went slack-eyed, dazed, as if reciting some on-screen narration only she could see. Watching this, Yunhan both pitied the innocent diners and regretted that Xiao Duwei had missed a prime chance. Since someone already stepped in, I'll drop it, Xiao Duwei said as he returned to Yunhan's side.
If we can't eat here, let's find another place.
By afternoon, a roller coaster safety bar popped open on its own, one guest
died on the spot and the rest were thrown into utter panic. The park finally took it seriously and decided to close temporarily.
After spending a whole day in the death park, Yunhan felt everything was over the line, so many incidents, and yet before a mass panic broke out the park pretended nothing had happened and kept trading. The guests were the same, so many injured and hauled to the infirmary, yet people kept playing. Worst of all, she had dragged Xiao Duwei all over and they had not ridden a single attraction, each one looked dangerous, so Xiao Duwei urged patience to watch others first, and the moment they waited, something happened. Once something happened, they skipped it and moved to the next, repeat that enough times and the day was done. Gazing at the sprawling park, her mood was complicated. What do you call this? They had not played, nor dispelled the debuff, a trip for nothing. I should not have chosen this park, she reproached herself. The notion of quickly clearing the debuff and then enjoying an unrestrained spree was a lovely fantasy with no relation to reality. It's fine, I truly had fun today, said Xiao Duwei, unbothered.
Yunhan fell silent. From morning to late day without writing anything, what fun could there be? Her little pup would even lie to comfort her?
For a moment she did not know whether to feel warm or guilty. Then she reconsidered. No, her intuition radar had not pinged, which meant Xiao Duwei was not lying. It's true, he said, looking up at her with puppy dog eyes and a radiant smile. I'm really happy to be at the park with you, and the things we ran into were interesting.
Once again Yunhan confirmed that no one could resist the power of pure adorableness, at least she could not.
On the way home, Xiao Duwei drove while Yunhan, in the passenger seat, scrolled the news. She had previously asked when he learned to drive and where the car came from. He said work required it, so he got his license. He bought the car because it made getting around convenient. In fact, Yunhan also had a license, she simply favored subways and public transit, so it seldom came into play. She searched for reports on the disaster-stricken cities and soon found what she wanted. In the city pelted by hail, although a wide drop in crop yields was predicted, most people were fortunately unhurt. In the city blanketed by fog, a white shroud had lingered for days. To ensure safety, all vehicles were under speed limits, and if accidents continued, the authorities would consider restricting cars from the roads until the fog lifted. Worst of all was the city ravaged by a blizzard that cut power across the board. In a modern society, some cannot quite grasp what several days without electricity means: phones dead with no way to charge, refrigerators stopped, heaters off, no warmth. In winter you cannot even bathe because hot water and gas systems are down. Though the government distributed supplies door to door, coal and braziers for heat, bottled water and instant noodles to stave off hunger, the quality of life was abysmal. Online, one resident broke down. I never even checked the Chow Chow group's official page and knew nothing. Why do I have to suffer with you at all? Indeed, This person had been ignorant of everything and only heard the story from neighbors after the blizzard hit. Once she learned the truth, she wept, feeling that the hardships she had barely tasted in half a lifetime were being served all at once over these few days.
What are you thinking about?
Tu Due saw Van Han staring blankly at her phone screen without scrolling further and couldn't help but ask, "Work stuff," Van Han replied. "The boss closed the shop, doesn't plan to continue the business. I'm thinking of redoing my resume and finding another job."
"Then go for it," Tu Due supported unconditionally. "Whatever Han Han wants to do, she can."
Van Han thought to herself, unsure if any company would hire her, or if the people she'd meet later would even listen to her advice. But, whatever, saving one is still saving one. Just as she decided, a loud crash suddenly came from ahead, like something had collided violently. "What happened?"
"A car accident," Tu Due replied quickly.
Between one question and one answer, another crashing sound came. Ahead, a pickup truck had overturned, a car was burning badly, and another bus's door was crushed. On the bus sat many kids around 13 or 14 years old, their faces filled with fear as they looked out the window. Van Han focused and saw that many of the kids had death countdowns appearing over them.
Predicted death in 4 minutes 49 seconds.
Not good. Without thinking, Van Han quickly said, "I'll go save them, you stay in the car," and dashed off toward the bus. Han Han Tu Due barely had time to call her name before she was already far away. She moved like a swift panther, speed astonishing, and as she ran she pulled a pair of black leather gloves from her pocket and put them on. After about 10 seconds, the bus suddenly caught fire. It turned out the impact had punctured the fuel tank, and just over 10 minutes earlier, it had been filled full at a gas station.
"Everyone stay calm.
Don't panic," the driver shouted, holding a small fire extinguisher, trying to douse the flames, but the extinguisher quickly emptied, and the fire showed no sign of weakening. The bus had only one exit door, which jammed shut after the crash. With no choice, the driver tried to escape through the emergency exit, yet someone had placed a cooling unit in the narrow aisle, blocking the way. The driver then tried smashing the glass for the kids to climb out, but the reinforced glass was too strong to break. Meanwhile, thick smoke began to fill the cabin. The kids coughed violently, some already fainted. Just then, the emergency exit was pried open from outside, and the cooling unit was dragged aside. "Form a line, go out the emergency exit, I'll pull you out," the rescuer shouted. The conscious kids obeyed immediately, climbing out one after another. Strangely, though the rescuer was clearly a young girl, slender and not especially strong, she pulled the kids out with surprising ease.
"Next.
Hurry up." She saved one after another without tiring, urging them faster. The driver kept directing the children to safety, then with a few tall boys helped carry the unconscious ones. Bang, came another sound as the glass windows shattered from outside. Another person called, "They can get out the windows too, hand them over, I'll catch them." Hearing that, the driver and boys quickly passed the unconscious kids out. Saving from both sides doubled the efficiency. After about 3 or 4 minutes, the driver and all 67 children were rescued. Everyone moved away from the bus. Just as they got clear, roaring flames devoured the vehicle. The survivors stared in shock, chills creeping up their spines. "If no one had come, we'd have burned alive." "Wait, where are they?" the driver said, wanting to thank their savior, but was startled to find they were gone. In the distance, police cars, ambulances, and fire trucks were approaching, called by passers-by who hadn't even reached to help yet. Back in their car, both of them, as if escaping disaster themselves, drove quickly away. Van Han scolded, "Didn't I tell you to stay in the car? Why did you suddenly run over?" Tu Due replied, "You wanted to save people, and I wanted to help you." "Next time don't do that," Van Han said seriously. "I went because I know when danger's coming and can protect myself before it happens." "Right," Tu Due smiled brightly. Van Han didn't know if he truly understood, so she changed the subject. "After saving them, did you see a transparent interface?" "I did." "Good," Van Han said softly, feeling it was all worth it. Though risky, she'd still achieved her goal. While driving, Tu Due glanced at the translucent interface. "Welcome to Evolution Game. Congratulations, player, for surviving instance number 133,497, bus fire incident. For rescuing 18 humans, your rating is a dot. Note, only players who achieve at least one A-level evaluation can learn of the Evolution Game's existence. Since you discovered it through irregular means, you received the debuff Cursed by Misfortune. Once you earn an A-level or higher, it is removed. You have achieved an A-level evaluation, the debuff Cursed by Misfortune has been lifted.
Your current stats: Strength, 7.8, Agility, 7.3, Constitution, 8.5, Spirit, 6.4. When any stat exceeds 8 and total of all 4 exceeds 30, only ratings of S or higher will grant future stat rewards. Afterward, the investigation report came out. It showed the pickup driver was drunk and drove straight into the bus. The bus driver had no time to react, and the tank just refueled was punctured. The pickup flipped 90 degrees, hit a car, which then spun and rammed the bus again, turning it into a 3-vehicle collision. The others were innocent. The drunk driver bore full blame, but he had passed out inside from alcohol, only rescued later, unharmed save minor bruises, dazed and unaware. He faced multiple charges and was sentenced to jail to sober up. The accident sparked public anger at bus safety. Why was the emergency exit blocked? Why was the glass unbreakable? Why only one door? The bus company explained that the cooling unit was there because the emergency exit was rarely used, an admitted mistake, promising it wouldn't happen again. Netizens mocked. Why call it emergency exit then? It's meant for emergencies, not daily use. The company apologized, pledging to improve design, noting the glass was meant for crash resistance, but unexpectedly trapped the kids in a fire. All unforeseen, they said, but upgrades would follow. Van Haan lost count how many times she'd sent her resume. Thinking about it, she'd spent as much time revising resumes as working jobs. The sad part, every boss either died, went to jail, or went bankrupt. Few survived. Even someone like Bakvai, who seemed to keep her life intact, died months later. Sometimes, Van Haan felt the invisible law of fate. Though justice's net is wide, none escape its reach. Looming over her, after submitting the latest resume, she browsed housing sites and asked Chu Due, "What kind of place do you like?" "Anything's fine," he said, leaning closer. "Aren't you job hunting?" "Already sent them, waiting for interviews. If no one calls, I'll keep sending." She glanced around the room and commented evenly, "This place is fine for one person, a bit small for two. I want to move, buy or rent, either's okay." "I think the size is perfect," Chu Due said as he sat beside her. Van Haan was sunk into the single sofa, laptop on her knees. Chu Due sat on the floor, his head resting by her right knee, like a big loyal dog keeping company with its master. Van Haan laughed. "Don't mess around, answer seriously." So Chu Due thought seriously, then said, "I want a bedroom we can sleep in together, a living room we can work in together, and a dining table where we can eat together." The answer had no technique, just sincerity. "I shouldn't have asked," Van Haan said, turning back to the screen. Chu Due countered, "Then what does Han Han like?" "Somewhere close to work, already furnished, easy to move in," she replied casually. After all, she changed companies often, so convenience mattered. "Then let's find that," Chu Due said without hesitation. "Just remember to pack me up when we move." Van Haan paused, looking down. Her gaze met his. "Whatever Han Han wants to do, I'll help," Chu Due said softly but firmly. "I'll never drag you down, so don't worry about me." The corners of Van Haan's lips lifted. "I know, that's why in this world, you're the one I like most." Without Chu Due, after her grandmother's passing, she might have lost faith in the world. On that fateful day, she probably would have given up instead of fighting. People say every adult lives half wanting to die and half struggling to live, but not her. If she ever stopped wanting to live, she wouldn't struggle at all. The busy year was coming to an end, and the point reward luck of the priestess was rising again. Right at this exciting moment of farewell and renewal, Van Haan found herself a new job as a car sales consultant. The posting required a valid driver's license, skilled driving, a positive attitude, passion for selling cars, ambition, good communication, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. Van Haan had a license but hadn't driven since passing the test. Her attitude was lazy, her enthusiasm non-existent, her spirit that of a salted fish, ambition none, and her communication and problem-solving abilities barely passable. Yet the dealership still hired her, because lately the world wasn't safe. Many workers had quit and returned home, and the company was short-handed. Thus, what's written in a recruitment ad is one thing, what's accepted in reality another. With a trial period ahead, they could train, adjust, or dismiss later. Conversely, if someone fit decently, even with weaker skills, the company would gladly keep them. "Recruitment postings are just mutual deception," Van Haan muttered. Her supervisor, the sales director Cho Yun, under 30, wearing a sharp suit, makeup elegant, the image of an urban beauty, gave her a crash course. "Our business covers new car sales, spare parts, after-sales service, and customer feedback. So you'll handle vehicle sales, customer consultation, organizing vehicle data and customer files, pre-sale follow-ups,
after-sale maintenance relationships, and tracking clients' car usage.
Got it?
Seeing Van Han dazed, Xiaoyun frowned.
Got it, Van Han repeated her words flawlessly. Xiaoyun's face softened. For the first month, stay with me and learn. If you don't understand something, ask, I'll teach you. Okay.
All morning, Xiaoyun introduced car models, pros and cons. Fortunately, Van Han had a sharp memory, hearing once was enough. Xiaoyun was amazed and praised her for learning fast. At noon, Xiaoyun said, if you bring your own lunch, you can use the company microwave.
If you buy, order at the front desk. During lunch, the girls from the sales team usually sit together and chat. I brought mine. Then heat it up.
After heating their meals, Xiaoyun led her to the lounge and introduced, this is Sister Yang, an old employee. These two are An and Fu Rong, they joined 6 months earlier.
And this is Han Han, our newcomer. Hello.
Sister Yang, around 30-something, glanced at Han Han's lunchbox, 4 dishes, 2 vegetarian, 2 meat, and her eyes lit up, looks delicious.
Homemade or bought?
Homemade, Van Han said casually.
You cook well. Sister Yang praised, nowadays, few young women cook for themselves.
You know, good cooking adds points, helps find a good husband. She said this while sneaking glances at An and Fu Rong, even Xiaoyun couldn't dodge.
Fu Rong bowed her head, pretending not to hear.
Xiaoyun calmly said, if you're busy with work, buying a boxed lunch is fine, cheap, convenient, tasty. An chuckled, Sister Yang, times have changed. Women don't need to rely on cooking to get married.
You should surf the internet more to keep up.
Her tone was teasing.
Sister Yang scowled, that's why you're all single.
Then she turned to Van Han, eyes bright.
Learn from Han Han.
This is wife material, men see her and want to marry. Van Han slowly looked up. The meal was cooked by my boyfriend.
Cough. Sister Yang nearly choked, eyes wide.
Pfft, and tried to hold back laughter, but her lips trembled upward.
Your boyfriend, a grown man, doesn't work? Just stays home cooking for you?
He made tens of millions a few years back. Now he doesn't want to do anything, just cooks and cleans. Since he's already made more than ordinary people could in 10 lifetimes, whatever he wants is fine by me. The words hit like thunder, Sister Yang froze.
After a long pause, she stammered, and his parents?
Both gone long ago, no one to control him.
Life's short, once you've earned enough, all that's left is to be happy, Van Han said airily. Sister Yang's eyes widened.
A man whose parents are dead will bring misfortune to his wife and children, she warned, hoping for agreement. But An stared at Van Han with admiration. Fu Rong too looked at her full of envy.
Sister Yang was baffled.
So, what does he look like?
NK Books.
Van Han recalled and answered matter-of-factly, sharp brows, bright eyes, distinct features, tall and lean, a waist not to be a model.
Sister Yang fell silent, clearly shaken. And in Fu Rong's eyes grew even brighter.
Seeing them quiet, Van Han simply ate her love lunch.
After lunch everyone took turns washing boxes. Xiaoyun approached Sister Yang and said calmly, she's new, don't overdo it. This is a workplace, not your court. If you want everyone to listen to you, become a god first. Then she laughed.
I was just chatting, Sister Yang protested loudly, but Xiaoyun didn't even glance back. Others looked, embarrassed. Sister Yang shut her mouth. In the afternoon, class resumed. Van Han focused, ready to memorize everything, when Xiaoyun said, don't argue just to win.
If your lie gets exposed, it's you who suffers. Van Han smiled.
You said it yourself, only lies exposed cause trouble.
She wasn't lying, so no fear.
Xiaoyun summarized, your boyfriend's tall, handsome, caring, cooks and cleans, young, rich, parents deceased. If you want me to believe he's real, not made up, tone it down next time.
Van Han chuckled. Believe it or not. Around 5, she clocked out.
Be careful on your way home, said Xiaoyun, about to leave when someone called out happily, Han Han,
A young, handsome man ran up to her, looking like a proud puppy. "Dinner's ready, I came to pick you up. Let's go." Van Han smiled, got in the car. As an industry professional, Xiao Yun immediately recognized the car was worth over $1 million. She gasped, so the handsome, rich, domestic boyfriend was real? Why couldn't she meet one? The next morning, Anne and Fu Rong surrounded Van Han the moment she arrived. "Han Han, give me your contact. If you ever meet a guy like your boyfriend again, call me first." "Yeah, even if he's slightly worse, I'll take him." "Me too." Fu Rong blushed but firmly held her phone. "Big sis, please, give me a chance." Sister Yang froze. Every time she tried matchmaking before, Fu Rong would shy away, and Anne would sneer, saying she'd rather stay single than settle. Now they were begging. The world felt unreal. "All right, back to work," Xiao Yun reminded. Before leaving, Anne added wistfully, "Han Han, keep an eye out for me, I swear I'm not picky." Van Han laughed bitterly. "In all these years, I've only met this one." "No, you've got great luck. If you met one, you could meet another," Anne said eagerly. "By the way, does he have cousins or brothers?" "One cousin." And Anne's eyes sparkled. "But they're totally different, no similarities." Anne deflated instantly. "All right, back to work," Xiao Yun waved. Anne left reluctantly. Van Han followed her. Suddenly, Xiao Yun turned into a quiet corner, took out her phone, and whispered, "Han Han, add me too?" People say happiness is simple, coming home to warm lights, delicious food, and someone waiting. I used to pour myself into work and fear marriage. But now, I think being the one who comes home to that sounds wonderful. She wasn't wrong, she just wanted happiness. "All right, I'll keep an eye out," Van Han agreed. "Thank you." Xiao Yun beamed, hardly looking like someone afraid of marriage, more like someone ready to fight for her ideal match. Van Han glanced around and asked in a low voice, "Director, are there only 5 of us left in sales? Why are we all women? Does the company not hire men?" "Not so," Keo Van sighed as soon as the topic came up. "Wasn't there a flu wave earlier? Lots of employees took sick leave. Some weren't ill themselves but asked off to look after parents or kids. With so many absent, the office felt empty and we were short on hands. We also can't force them to stay. If cross-infection happens, people who were fine would get sick. And not just that, recently the government issued a frightening statement. Some workers resigned overnight and fled back to their hometowns, saying the countryside is safer. What logic can you apply to this? Just call it chaotic times, grit your teeth and get through." Worried that Van Han might not follow the news, Keo Van avoided the words evolution in-game, only skimming past. If later she grew curious and searched the web and learned the truth, that would be her choice. "I heard about it," Van Han said bluntly. "My previous boss learned of it and shut the shop that very night, ran to the gym to work out, saying he had to strengthen his body to face the challenges ahead." Keo Van was helpless. "This isn't something you can avoid just by dodging." Van Han asked, "Director, are you not afraid?" "Apart from accidents and calamities, there is poverty and illness," Keo Van said gloomily. "I took a mortgage a few years back, every month I have to pay. If I quit, before any disaster hits I'll already be poor and starving to death." Think like that and disaster is not the scariest thing. And it is not only me short on money, everyone is. Sister Duong's son is studying, plus tutoring, every year a swelling expense. And Anne has loose hands, in some months she spends more and saves almost nothing. If one month we don't get paid, maybe we really will have nothing to eat and starve. As for Fu Dong, she has an older brother, her parents want her to earn her own dowry. Clearly treating Van Han like family, Keo Van spoke freely. Silent, Van Han recalled a line from somewhere. "The world's panic and confusion boil down to a few petty coins, yet those coins can settle 1,000 kinds of fear, keep the elderly safe for 10,000 years, send children to school, and cover rice, oil, salt, sauce, and grain." Placed here, it felt painfully apartment at noon break. Fu Dong warmed her meal, about to eat. Keo Van caught her wrist. "These dishes clash,
your stomach is weak, eat them together and you'll have the runs.
Ha! Fu Dong was blank.
Patiently, Kyovan explained, some foods are fine alone, mixed they cause chaos, especially for a weak stomach, easy diarrhea, stomachache, vomiting, in severe cases even death.
Then I won't eat. Startled, Fu Dong pushed the lunchbox away.
Eat the compatible ones, just don't eat them all together, Kyovan added.
Books. Okay, she resumed eating, still uneasy. When Van Han came in with her warmed food, she found someone new in the break room, and this is?
Sister Ma, she's getting married soon, Kyovan introduced. She was on leave at home, now her cold has passed so she's back.
Hello, Sister Ma. Hello, Sister Ma, drained, managed to smile.
And Anne's eyes lit up. She told Sister Ma excitedly, Sister Ma, Van Han is amazing. She found a boyfriend who is obedient, earns money, and does housework. If you run into trouble, talk to her, maybe she has an idea. Van Han was baffled. She merely had a boyfriend, not mastery in love. Meeting Sister Ma's expectant gaze, she hesitated, then said, if you like, I can offer thoughts. Sister Ma struggled inwardly, then gave a bitter smile, I'm not afraid of being laughed at. With the wedding near, I caught a cold and stayed in bed a week. Thinking we hadn't met in a while, I went to see him without warning. Who knew I would find him being very close with another woman, forgetting our impending wedding. I confronted them on the spot, he flustered, claimed the woman seduced him and he lost control for a moment. She plopped on the ground crying, saying I bullied her and he refused to admit fault.
She sighed deeply, voice bone tired, we met by matchmaking.
He looked honest, conditions suitable, so I agreed. Turns out looking honest is useless, given the chance he still cheated. Now that the wedding's been announced to relatives and friends, backing out is awkward.
No way even he would cheat?
Fu Dong was dumbstruck. Last time after work when he picked you up, we saw him, he looked decent, like the type to care for the family after marriage, right? Sister Ma smiled at herself, who would think that kind of man is unreliable. If not for seeming honest, I wouldn't have dated him. If he cannot live up to it, what is the point of marrying? You're thinking wrong, Sister Duong barged in uninvited. Men, who doesn't stray a little, we all get through that, endure and it passes. The most important thing is your little household, women outside are just passers-by. Just then, as Kyovan drank from a plastic bottle, she squeezed unconsciously at those words, crushing it flat. Sister Duong snapped her mouth shut. After a few hurried bites she fled, saying she was full. Director, mighty, and gazed at Kyovan with shining worship. Embarrassed, Kyovan said, I just got a bit mad and used a little force, I don't even know how it happened. Fu Dong reacted first, you just stopped me from eating the wrong mix and getting diarrhea. Is this like what people say online, that when you save someone, your strength attribute spikes and power bursts out?
Makes sense, Kyovan nodded. Sister Ma stared after Sister Duong, lost in thought. I told relatives, they said the same as Sister Duong, forgive him, it was only intimacy, not going further. But I cannot swallow it.
Ignore her, and pouted, she keeps introducing me to guys earning about 3,000, who go home and do nothing but play games. I work sales, income unstable, anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 a month, while he is a fixed 3,000, marry like that and all household costs land on me. If we at least agreed to split expenses and chores and play games together, I wouldn't be so angry. She even acts like she's doing me a favor. To promote her stock of single men, she wants them married soon so they can have a free babysitter at home. How dedicated. So don't mind her, those crooked arguments dirty my ears. Then she nudged Van Han, you say something too. Chin in hand, Van Han said, I think if everyone assumes men will cheat, why seek an honest one, just target good conditions. Best choice, has money and does not cheat. Second tier, has money but cheats, or no money and does not cheat. Worst, no money and still cheats. You picked no money and does not cheat, yet it turned into no money and still cheats, showing how fickle hearts are, so at the start choose the one with money, at least if he cheats, the money remains. It's not worshipping wealth or insisting on talking money. It's that when he cannot give you love and even betrays you, then all that is left to talk about is money. What else is there to say? Sister Ma froze as if a new world was opening.
Van Han went on, though I have a boyfriend, I still think marriage cannot be forced. Meet the right person and marry. If not, be single. In the end, we pursue happiness, not the label of marriage. Who marries just to be married? I am not strong enough, Sister Ma smiled bitterly. My family nagged daily that I'm getting older, and if I do not find someone now, it will be harder later. Hear it enough and the heart softens. I agreed to blind dates. After countless picks, I still ended up with this joke. Sometimes I wonder whether good men exist. Am I unlucky not to meet one, or do they not exist at all? They likely do, Van Han mused. With hundreds of millions of people, as long as there is one, then yes. She paused, then added, but that rarity is like a gene mutation, the cancer rate is higher. Pfft, and then laughed to tears. Why are your words sour and yet so funny? Fu Dong asked, is your boyfriend a gene mutation who will not cheat? Van Han nodded, forget cheating, he has no interest in humans at all. Meet acquaintances on the street and he still chooses to ignore them, he's been that way since young. She did not say that he is also casual with himself, with a calm that seems not to place his own life and death in his heart. Childhood sweethearts, and then grew more envious. When we were little, adults said study hard and you will find a good partner after you grown up, they say we should have found one early to cultivate feelings. They get to say everything, the reliable partner we have to find ourselves. Eating and chatting, and then suddenly flushed and choked hard, coughing without expelling anything. She's choking. Sister Ma jumped up and performed the Heimlich maneuver, driving quick thrusts into the upper abdomen, after several, and then gave a loud retch and spat out the obstruction. All right, Sister Ma soothed. Still shaken, Fu Dong said, how can a simple lunch come with so many incidents? Face stern, Kyovan said, the world is unsettled, from now on be careful in everything. A moment earlier Inan had truly wondered if she would die. After being rescued she lay limp, gasping, thoughts of boyfriends and partners wiped clean, leaving only one notion, the world is dangerous, and I must survive. After a brief lull, Sister Ma's thinking broadened and you could see with the naked eye how she grew more open. Fu Dong and Inan had both run into trouble one after another, so with emotions stirred they worked more steadily. Van Han was still following Kyovan to learn, cramming materials like mad.
NK
Suddenly
books.
Sister Duong rushed in, anxious, Director, this is bad, something happened, check the hot search. Kyovan started, pulled out her phone to look, and Van Han opened hers too. The hot search was hanging several items, famous web celebrity Brother Tu in a racing crash, 2 cars collided, the other side lightly injured, Brother Tu gravely hurt, XX Auto's safety still in doubt. Sister Duong panicked, Brother Tu is my client, he just bought a new car from me, and right after buying it something happened, now he's badly hurt and in the hospital, I heard he's still unconscious. Realizing the gravity, Kyovan told Van Han, you stay here and really drill those materials, then said to Sister Duong, we're going to the hospital, and seeing the director calmly directing, Sister Duong felt steadier, the two hurried to visit. On this side, Van Han had barely sat down when No Bang's call came in. Hello? He said, I heard Chow Duong grabbed a list and is hunting survivors, picking them off one by one. Ha? Van Han froze. No Bang enunciated, after bloodbathing the Chow Kio Financial Group's headquarters, he obtained the roster of nursing home staff who took part in the experiment. After the experiment ended, some returned to headquarters, some to branches. He slaughtered the headquarters but only killed off a portion of participants. His vengeance is not over, now he's going down the list, catching each participant and then wiping out their entire families. So far 5 households have had incidents. We were invited by Bakvai to join, and even if you left early, your name and info are still on the list, which means if he isn't arrested he's very likely to come for you. Damn it, snapped Van Han. She cursed the Chow Kio group for not safeguarding people and keeping a crystal clear ledger of every participant even after the experiment ended, and she cursed Chow Duong for vengeance so crazed he wanted the world buried with his grandpa. Thanks for the heads up, I'm hanging up, I'll go home and check. With that she cut the call and rushed home on leave. Fire, call the fire brigade. A building belched thick smoke while people at the door shouted. Tu Due, carrying a basket of fresh ingredients, passed by as if he did not see it, indifferent to why it burned or whether anyone was hurt, too lazy even to watch the commotion, just heading toward his rental. At the instant he opened his door, a tiny, abnormal sound came from the bedroom, and his ear twitched. Sounds like a rat snuck in when the place was empty. He set down the basket, shut the door, and went to catch the rat. As he opened the bedroom door, a flash of cold light lunged for his throat, but he caught it cleanly and countered.
pinning the intruder. Who are you? How did you get in?
The man did not answer. The knife hand tried to resist. Chu Dui wrenched his wrist out of joint and asked again, Who are you? How did you get in?
The man glared viciously and snapped back instead, Where's Van Han? Where is that slut? Chu Dui had meant to call the police, but at that he clenched his fist and slammed a hammer-like punch into the man's gut. Chaduan doubled up in pain. Chu Dui stepped on his ankle, face expressionless, and warned, Speak properly. Based on what? If he refused, the ankle got stomped till it snapped. As he ground down he said, With so many incidents lately, if I toss you onto that fire scene, tell me, will the police be able to figure out who you are? Sweat poured from Chaduang's brow. He could barely form words. Veins jumped as he forced out, You call yourselves righteous, yet not one of you will give my grandpa a shred of justice. I don't believe in righteousness and don't represent it, said Chu Dui coolly. I can trample you because I am stronger. Chaduang was speechless. All along he had taken revenge by relying on power beyond the ordinary, and now for the same reason he was the one being torn apart. What do you want? He asked with difficulty. Chu Dui eyed him like a slab of meat on a cutting board, then suddenly smiled. So, the officer's expression went odd. You were ambushed by an intruder who swung a small blade at your neck, and that's why you beat him up like this. Chu Dui feigned fright. That's right, the room bore signs of a fight, and the man had indeed broken in illegally, yet why so many fractures, now lying there unable to move, while the caller looked unscathed and kept babbling. The intruder was terrifying, and I panicked and fought back. The police asked again, How did you take him down? I don't really know, said Chu Dui blankly. I just threw a few random punches and he fell. Officer, is he faking it? Chaduang almost spat blood. Unfortunately 2 shots to the face had knocked out more than half his teeth, so he could not retort. Conflicted, the officer offered an explanation. There are stories of people with extraordinary abilities lately, indeed some, when in danger, explode with potential and display super combat power. No wonder I toppled him so easily, said Chu Dui, then worried, will this cause trouble later? I only meant to defend myself. I didn't think he'd be so flimsy. By the Federation's latest regulations, if an extraordinary individual breaks into an ordinary citizen's residence, the homeowner is entitled to subdue him, the officer reassured. Don't worry, defending yourself is right. Chu Dui exhaled with visible relief. The police thanked him solemnly. Chaduang has racked up too many homicide cases. Thank you for catching him. I didn't do much, he said with a frightened look. After thanking him again they stretchered Chaduang away. Once they left, the fear drained from Chu Dui's face and calm indifference returned. By coincidence, as Van Han came back she saw them carrying Chaduang out and hurriedly asked, What happened? Neighbors chimed in. You heard about the massacre at the Chaokio Financial Group headquarters. He did it. They say he slipped into our compound to do something bad again and got served. Someone caught him and called the cops. Now he's under arrest. With a guy like that on the loose outside we couldn't sleep easy. Now great, nabbed and made an example so the others see the end game of doing evil. Right, who caught him? 0604, no, it was 0504, tight-chested. Van Han hurried home. When she opened the door, there stood Chu Dui unharmed, who greeted her as usual. Han, she rushed over, looked left and right, checked front and back, and only when she confirmed he was fine did she let go. How did you catch Chaduang? He tried to recall. One punch, pressed him down, another punch, and then she changed tack. What are your attributes? He glanced at the interface and answered honestly. Strength, 7.8, agility, 7.3, physique, 8.5, spirit, 6.4. Van Han was baffled. Didn't you just clear that adverse status? How can this be? You were strong as a kid but not to this degree, she frowned. You've been away from that place for 6 years. What on earth happened? Whenever the boss ran into trouble I saved him, said Chu Dui. If he died I switched bosses. If he didn't die he ran into trouble again and I saved him again. Truth is, for a stretch every time I saved the boss my body improved, either stronger, or faster, or tougher, even so it shouldn't be this high. Van Han was happy for him yet felt it defied logic. With an adverse status, each rescue would place you in the bottom 10, so each boost shouldn't add much. How many times would it take to stack stats this high? I remember that a year ago someone failed to assassinate the boss and suddenly yelled at him. This is an evolution and also a game. Those without aptitude will be eliminated. After that incident spiked, many times the boss nearly died and I spent enormous effort to pull him back from the Reaper. So, Van Han concluded, you actually heard about the evolution game from someone else a year ago, and then you carried the bad luck entanglement debuff and lived through 1 year, right? He nodded hard, stunned. She finally said, then that's good, and reported her own. Mine are, strength 7.3, agility 7.1, physique 7.5, spirit 8.1, and summed up, for now we're both relatively safe.
Elsewhere, 2 officers were transporting Chao Duong to the relevant bureau for questioning when the car stopped midway. The driver got out to check, flat tire, need to change it. He muttered about bad luck and opened the trunk for the spare. During the break the guard relaxed a hair, and Chao Duong suddenly rose like the dead, floored him, yanked the door open, and bolted. How is he running with injuries that heavy? The driver cried, wanting to give chase but fearing he would lose and only deliver his head. Besides, the original caller had not said clearly who had been caught, only that someone broke in and got laid out, so the precinct, unclear on details, had randomly sent 2 officers. They were fine against ordinary offenders but were outmatched by an extraordinary criminal like Chao Duong. Thinking that, the driver decisively keyed the radio. At XX District XX Street, the extraordinary criminal Chao Duong just escaped while injured, requesting support. Chao Duong will not get away, do not worry, there will not be a plotline of endless aftermath. I am the porter from the comments section, hashtag Han if you do not pull a string to get in, I want in too hashtag, ha ha ha, everyone wants in. In truth, Chao Duong's current condition was far from good. Tu Dui had struck too ruthlessly, and even though he possessed the self-healing ability, he could only barely mend the injuries on his ankles and right arm, while his broken left arm, facial wounds, missing teeth, and countless cuts and bruises across his body could only wait 3 days until the cooling phase of his power completed before attempting his second round of treatment. In reality, Chao Duong very much wanted to kill the 2 police officers on the spot so that he could disappear and make it hard for the police to track him, but unfortunately his wounds were far too serious. He couldn't even bring out 30% of his usual strength. He had no certainty of killing with a single strike, and once the officers drew their guns, it was impossible to say who would win or lose. He'd heard there were superpowered individuals immune to bullets, and for the safety of their forces, the government always urged them to call for reinforcements first and pursue later, so the 2 policemen behind didn't immediately chase him. But Chao Duong knew himself well. He was never good at defense, not the kind of superpower who could block bullets. His strengths lay in speed and recovery, and now his self-healing was used up, his limbs gravely wounded, his speed gone, the situation extremely dangerous. He must run, must shake off pursuit and find somewhere to hide. He ran madly, gradually widening the distance from the police car, and just as he was rejoicing that he'd escaped danger, a man floored the gas pedal and drove a massive truck straight toward him. Screech, a loud crash, and he was flung into the air. No Bang stepped down from the driver's seat of the truck, walked slowly to stand before him, looking down coldly. It's you. Chao Duong lay sprawled, fingers unmoving, blood pouring from his forehead, eyes barely open, yet he struggled to turn his body just enough to see clearly. You once said you awakened your power after hearing that your grandfather died horribly. No Bang's low voice echoed through the silent outskirts, eerie and cold. Killing is actually very simple. As long as the speed is fast enough, you can easily slit someone's throat with a knife, and now you've become the one lying there waiting to be torn apart. You can't imagine how much I regret ever trusting you. His misplaced kindness had indirectly pushed all humanity into peril. He blamed himself, hated himself, sometimes even wished he could stab himself, and in the end it was only hatred toward Chao Duong that kept him going. He hadn't known where Chao Duong was, but that unreliable superpower, strengthened after working in the Chao Kio Financial Group, seemed to have been moved by his conviction and for once became trustworthy, warning him in advance that on such and such day and hour at such and such place he would be in danger. Don't kill me. I spared you. Among everyone at headquarters I alone let you go. Chao Duong's eyes filled with fear. He could feel death closing in, his life hanging by No Bang's whim. You shouldn't have spared me. Go to hell and repent. No Bang plunged the sharp knife into his heart. Warm blood splattered across his face, but he didn't flinch, only coldly withdrew the blade and stabbed again and again until Chao Duong was utterly dead. Don't move. Drop the knife, shouted the officers who arrived a step too late, seeing the attack from afar, but No Bang ignored them, pulled out the knife one last time, and drove it into his own chest, and soon his breath was gone, his body collapsing into the pool of blood, just as his own premonition had foretold. On such and such date and hour, at a spot 800 meters before the Broken Soul Bridge of a certain city, No Bang killed Chao Duong, and afterward, overwhelmed by remorse, took his own life. Someone recognized him then and told the others, his name's No Bang. He was the sole survivor when Chao Duong slaughtered the Chao Kio Financial Group's headquarters. I heard after the incident his mind was never right. He'd been under treatment at the hospital but one day slipped away silently. Who would have thought he'd chased Chao Duong here? Everyone sighed. With so many colleagues killed before his eyes, no wonder he couldn't accept it and was determined to avenge them.
The murderer who once slaughtered the Chow Kio Financial Group's headquarters and its sole survivor clashed again. After a fierce struggle, both died. Reports say while fleeing, the killer committed multiple family massacres. His cruelty and savagery enraged the public. Seeing the news, Van Han immediately called no bang, but no matter how many times she tried, the line never connected. In the end, he still chose death as atonement. The next day at work, Van Han looked somewhat weary. Glancing around and finding no sign of Kio Van, she asked and "Where's the director?" Left early to the hospital to comfort a client, and rolled her eyes at the ceiling, not at Van Han but at Sister Duong. The client in trouble is Sister Duong's, yet the director still has to show up, and Sister Duong just tags along pretending to express sympathy for the poor client. The director's too naive, she really does everything herself, never pushes work to anyone else. What use is someone like Sister Duong? And Anne's resentment towards Sister Duong was obvious and her words sharp. Van Han didn't comment, only asked, "So what do I do?" Director said you should stay here and back up the files, and blinked. There's a whole stack to copy. Anyway, first month newbies always spend their time doing backups. Got it? Van Han nodded. With her photographic memory she could finish fast and then slack off a bit. That morning she worked leisurely, feeling surprisingly cheerful and less stressed than before. At lunch she was first to heat her meal, then sat in the break room eating bite by bite. Soon Fu Dong, and Sister Ma joined, forming a small circle. Sister Ma said mysteriously, "I've got some juicy gossip, want to hear?" Van Han nodded obediently. Fu Dong looked up, and leaned in expectantly. "It's about my ex-fiancé," Sister Ma began, her earlier gloom replaced by sparkle. "Just talking about her ex brought life back to her. I never understood why. My ex-fiancé wasn't rich, not handsome, nothing much besides being honest. How could any woman with eyes fancy him besides me? Later I found out that woman was pregnant and sought my ex to play the night picking up her mess." Wow, the three gasped, hands over mouths, and couldn't hold it. Really? How'd you find out? It's only been a few days since he kissed her. Exactly a few, Sister Ma laughed triumphantly. The woman slacked off at work, dumping tasks on others. A colleague got annoyed and snapped at her, then gave her a little shove. She stumbled, grabbed her belly, and cried out in pain. My ex rushed her to the hospital, and the doctor scolded him, saying how could he let his girlfriend have so many abortions. Now her body's a mess. The baby 2 or 3 months along might not survive. When I heard, I nearly died laughing. She'd only joined his company a bit over a month. They'd known each other less than 3 months. Isn't that clearly seeing his honesty and using him as a stand-in? There's more, Sister Ma sneered. Their company took a huge project. Everyone was swamped, so they recruited help. The posting clearly said new hires must be fully dedicated, preferably not planning marriage or childbirth. She cheerfully said she was single with no plans for kids. Now the truth's out. Everyone knows she was already pregnant, so they wanted more hands and ended up with a ticking time bomb. Can't even scold her, or she'll get upset and miscarry. Who'd bear that blame? Van Han thought. Another piece of useless knowledge added. A woman like that only has to crook her finger to hook him. Sister Ma laughed till tears came. Fu Dong sensed the tension and lowered her head, silent, and changed topic. And the guy? What did he say? What else? Begged to get back together. Sister Ma wiped her eyes, voice calm again. After 3 years together, he said he was just confused. He and that woman hadn't done anything serious, no need for a breakup, and even hinted that if I couldn't forgive him, I was being petty. Sometimes I wonder what on earth I ever saw in him. Thank heavens I found out before marriage. If I'd married and had a kid, it would have been a nightmare. Fu Dong suddenly said, if I met someone like that, I'd fear marriage for life. Exactly. And inside, no money, no looks, average family. We only value honesty, and even that one trait's worthless. So, Sister Ma concluded earnestly, when finding a partner, be careful, don't fall into the same pit as me. Fu Dong turned to Van Han, eyes hopeful. I'm counting on you to help me escape being single. Van Han, don't rush me, rushing won't help. For several days, Kyo Van and Sister Duong were busy handling Tu Sie's case. After hospital treatment, he finally woke. Kyo Van, representing the company, sincerely apologized. Tu Sie was easygoing, admitting the crash was largely his fault for racing and not watching the wrong-way car. After the incident, the director from the car company visited him daily, very responsible. The man was so polite that he couldn't stay angry. The two sides reached an understanding and began negotiating compensation. But while Tu Sie agreed, and the car company agreed, the vast internet public did not. Someone dug up years of accident data, compiled and posted everything, mocking that car brand. Are your vehicle's failure rates too high? How many people do you send off every year? 30,000 comments poured in. thanks to everyone for the nutrient support, thanks to readers for supplying real-life material. Things had almost settled when the evidence post went up, a slew of well-known bloggers reposted it, the topic reheated in a flash, and discussions ran hot as netizens called out in unison, "The numbers are right here, anyone can check, look, the fatality rate really is higher than other car badges." Can someone who understands the work come say a fair word? XX Auto's official Weibo, stop hiding and get out here to explain. Sister Duong saw it and her temper flared. She spat a few choice words, scolding non-stop. "These people just want a spectacle and don't mind making it bigger. They have no idea how hard we've been working these days. Every morning we drive to the hospital to visit the injured, and at the slightest issue we are running back and forth, more attentive than the patient's own family." Although Van Han wanted to comfort her, what the netizens cursed was the car's quality, while Sister Duong listed, at most, a very proper post-incident attitude. The two sides simply were not talking about the same thing. Kyovan did not tangle with online opinions. She only told Van Han and Fu Dong, "When you head home these days, be careful. I have been driving with Sister Duong to the hospitals and there were several times we nearly had accidents. I cannot say why, but something really feels off. The number of incidents that used to take a whole year is on track to be reached within a single month." Later I saw the news that the government rolled out a new policy, saying cars on the road will have uniform speed limits. I do not know if it will lower accident frequency, but anyway everyone on the road should mind themselves. Annan was flustered. That exaggerated? Then how are people supposed to live? Van Han said, "I heard business at funeral homes is about to boom, many places can hardly cope." Fu Dong, anxious, added, "My parents and brother are fine for now, but a distant relative was already hit and killed by a car. In a couple of days I still have to ask for leave to go back with my parents for the funeral." In short, be careful, sighed Kyovan. She wanted to offer something constructive, yet once the words reached her lips, besides telling them to be careful again and again, she did not know what else to say. There were simply too many kinds of incidents. Do not be fooled that we are only talking about traffic accidents. Online there are objects falling from height, wild animals mauling people to death, fires, gas explosions, all kinds of events, so many they cannot be counted. Even a circus elephant long trained for shows, for the sake of freedom, trampled its trainer to death and tried to escape. Of course it was dragged back and executed in the end, preventing greater casualties, but even hearing about it makes one shudder. Last year did not have this many oddities, yet this year they come in an unending stream, beyond imagination. Seeing the topic drift further while no one wanted to speak up for their own side, Sister Duong protested, "People online keep saying the company is staging things. You are employees, do you truly have nothing to say?" Annan was speechless. "I am not technical staff, I do not know whether what they say online is correct. Without clarity on the truth, I do not plan to stand in any line lightly." Van Han said, "This kind of matter should be handled by the company. We sales are paid a base plus commission, and taking home a small base salary we are still expected to worry whether the company will shut down. Are we worrying too much?" Fu Dong nodded hard. "If you take cabbage money, do not fret like you are selling flour. It is not that serious. Even if the company truly has problems, at worst we change jobs. We are ordinary workers, not leadership, much less the boss. There is nothing to cling to." Sister Duong was choked into silence. "All right," Manager Kyovan cut off the bickering. "The company has a dedicated social team. They will handle it. If you have free time, work, do not daydream all day." She waved for everyone to disperse. Sister Duong stomped off, stewing that ever since Han Han arrived, this job had become harder and harder to do. Just when XX Auto's official Weibo was playing dead, an anonymous, grateful person posted, "XX Auto has design problems. If a violent collision occurs, the fatality rate is much higher than other cars. Upper management at XX knows, and the reason they do not recall and repair the problematic vehicles is that, after calculation, the total cost of repair for all cars is higher than paying for accident compensation, so they choose to spend less on payouts." A single stone stirred 1,000 waves. Netizens were stunned. What kind of garbage company dares weigh lives against money? If only you had said it earlier. Had I been educated a few days earlier I would not have placed a deposit. I have not even picked up the car, can I cancel? If you do business, have some conscience. Customers trust your badge and buy your car, and you play them for fools. It might not be true, maybe a rival is taking the chance to suppress them. I have driven an XX for over a dozen years with no issues. The quality is decent. You say that only because you have not crashed. the poster said that with a violent collision the fatality rate soars. In other words, without an accident you can drive normally, but once it happens, others suffer minor injuries while you are severely hurt or even die on the spot. After that explanation, do you still dare bet on odds?
Others lightly injured and you severely injured, are we not talking about Brother Tew?
The matter grew more serious. The angry crowd swarmed XX Auto's official Weibo, naming names and demanding the higher-ups explain, but the account was as silent as a tomb, not a peep. Why not debunk the rumor? Are you acquiescing in letting the hot take become the truth? As public emotions boiled, another big thing burst forth. Someone driving an XX model from the lower line collided with another car, and the owner died on the spot. Roll the clock back roughly half an hour. Hwagon hauled a suitcase and jumped into his car. He was flying for a business trip today. He had set an early alarm with plenty of time for the airport, but he slept like a log, smacked the alarm the moment it rang, and when he woke again he was already about 40 minutes behind his plan. One glance at the clock jolted him fully awake. He splashed water on his face, grabbed the suitcase, and bolted, but when the roof leaks it pours. Traffic was super jammed, cars crawling like turtles. Hwagon kept darting looks at the watch on his wrist, growing more frantic by the minute. At last he could not bear it and decided to change lanes. Just then, by ill luck, another car was barreling down that lane. Hwagon failed to notice a car behind, yanked the wheel hard to cut over, and forgot the turn signal. The chain of moves left the other driver no room to evade. With a loud screech the two cars slammed together. Blood streamed from Hwa Don's brow as his consciousness blurred. In the final flicker of life he suddenly remembered his instructor's warning from driving school: with hands on the wheel, never ever panic. Brother Tew's case had not yet yielded a conclusion when, within mere days, the same badge suffered another cluster of incidents and the driver again died at the scene. People gasped and demanded the government investigate XX Auto thoroughly. Watching it unfold, even Brother Tew's face changed. All this time he had thought the fault was his, which was why he lay in the hospital badly hurt. Now it seemed the crash was indeed due to his carelessness, but being injured so gravely might not have been inevitable. If the car's design truly had issues, then with the same accident, a different model with better safety might have left him only lightly hurt. Thinking so, he refused to negotiate compensation with XX Auto and resolved to wait for the government's investigation and public conclusion. What on earth is this? Wailed Sister Duong, like an ant on a hot pan, spinning in circles. We had it settled. How did it turn just like that? Keovan's face tightened. Wait and see. If the company's product really had quality problems, she could not shamelessly beg others for forgiveness. The next day the government sent metrology experts, who found the XX badge did have problems, exactly as the grateful insider revealed. After collisions the fatality rate was extraordinarily high, and although the higher-ups knew, they deliberately ignored it for the sake of their cost calculus. With results out, the boss of XX Auto was hauled in overnight to face charges, and would be prosecuted and sent to prison to reflect and reform. Victims like Brother Tew and Hwagon's family received hefty compensation. XX Auto was ordered to recall all problematic vehicles, and only after repairs and government expert testing confirmed no remaining issues could they return to market. Every dealership under the badge had to close temporarily, and only after rectification and quality inspection could they reopen. Yet even with reforms, a shattered reputation and crisis of trust meant the road ahead would be rough, for no one wants to gamble with their life. And within the same segment, everyone will choose another badge first. Seeing the mess, the lady boss spoke plainly, letting employees freely choose to stay or go. If you stay, all pay and benefits remain as before, and should the company regain its glory, those willing to share hardship will certainly not be treated poorly. During repairs, however, only the base pay is available. If you leave, besides regular settlement you will be given an extra month's salary. May you all have bright prospects. Having joined a bit over half a month and, aside from filing materials, done almost nothing, Van Han felt an inexplicable twinge of regret. Her fresh, gossip-sweet work life ended abruptly. She had not even gotten to see the male colleague, nor sold a single car. It felt like she had only come to file papers and gossip. On settlement day, Annan hugged Van Han and bawled, "If the company must close then so be it, but I cannot bear to part with you." Van Han thought, more like you cannot part with your future boyfriend, and then went on, "I will never change my number in this life. If you meet a good boy, remember to tell me. Do not worry, no matter how long, if you call I will answer." Van Han thought, there is no need to be that fixated. After a long bout of chattering, and then finally let go, Keovan stared at the storefront, lost in thought, even forgetting her vision of an ideal partner.
Director, are you alright? Asked Van Han. I am fine, Kyovan smiled wryly. It is just that I came to this company right after graduation and have worked hard for 4 to 5 years. I did not expect it to end like this. Who could imagine a boss trying to save money would dare joke with public safety and human lives, and inside, privately thinking the maneuver was so outrageous that ordinary people could not have done it. People dispersed, the words of farewell lingered. Van Han waved goodbye to Kyovan and Kyovan only said, "Since we part, may each of us stay healthy." That was likely the simplest, most sincere blessing, perfectly suited to the moment. They chose smaller payouts over proper repairs. Thanks to the reader who provided real-life material. I am the comments porter. Well now, if a company does not work, replace the boss. If an employer dies, replace the employer. So it is a perfect pair. The male lead is a golden retriever, gentle to people, ruthless to dogs. After beating the other dog he plops down on it, then wags at his own kennel manager as if nothing happened. I am laughing myself to death, too vivid. Hua Gon is a brand new supporting role, never seen in earlier chapters, and after this chapter's traffic accident the person is no longer. After settling the accounts, Van Han rested at home for 2 days, originally planning to invite Tu Dui out to play, but thinking that while they went out to relax, others nearby were struggling with their tribulations, she gave up the idea. At that moment a company sent her an invitation for a business trip. She read it and felt she could handle it, so she went for an interview. The new company specialized in logistics transport. Workers went in pairs, one driver and one assistant, usually. The driver drove to the destination and both unloaded the goods to the receiver, basically manual work, best with a driver's license and skillful control. However, this company, like many car dealerships, was unreliable. Once confirming Van Han's strength was truly great, the recruiter immediately said they would hire her regardless of license or experience, promising to assign her a seasoned driver so she only needed to handle the physical tasks without worrying about driving. Van Han paused. Then asked the recruiter, "Are you that short on people?" "Not exactly," he sighed. "Flu leave took a third of the staff. Recently accidents kept happening, broken bones, burns, sports injuries, traffic crashes, many hospitalized. The company's short-handed while business is booming. People order bulk goods online, mineral water, snacks, boxes filling the warehouse. If we don't deliver fast the customers will complain, so they couldn't be picky. Anyone who could work was pulled in immediately. How long they lasted or whether they'd go permanent didn't matter, just pass this crisis first." Van Han wasn't choosy, said she was free and could start anytime. The recruiter praised her work spirit and called out, "Brother Zhang. Got a newbie here, show her the ropes." Introducing, Zhang Mo, senior worker here 3 years, steady driver, suits you. Zhang Mo came and froze. "Why a young lady? What about it? You look down on women." The recruiter glared. "Nowadays girls are strong, maybe stronger than you," then gestured to Van Han, "Show him." There was a wooden box 1 meter each side, usually heavy and awkward, needed both to lift, but Van Han stepped up and lifted it easily, her expression calm, no strain, walked a few steps and set it down, face not red, breath steady. "Good enough." Zhang was stunned, even he couldn't do that so lightly. The recruiter poked his shoulder whispering, "If her resume didn't say she stopped driving after getting her license, I'd hesitate to assign her to you." Zhang understood. "Alright, come with me." They loaded the goods, Zhang drove, officially starting the day, chatting as he went. "Why'd a girl like you take a delivery job? The last company had issues. I didn't want to sit idle so I took something temporary," Van Han said, glancing at him. "What's wrong?" Zhang asked. "Nothing, you just look familiar but I can't recall where from. Maybe I just have a common face, if we'd met I'd remember you." She couldn't place it so dropped the thought and changed topic. The truck stopped at Building B, Zhang checked the invoice, 2 boxes of mineral water, 3 of noodles, 1 of milk, 1 of soda, 2 of snacks. Van Han pulled them out, about to carry them up when Zhang quietly brought a trolley. "I know you're strong, but it's fine to work smart not hard. A trolley's always nice." She smiled accepting it. They stacked everything and he pushed into the elevator. Ding, the door opened. He murmured 803 while looking around. Just as a quarrel was happening, an old gray-haired man shouted, "My grandson stole your boxed lunch and got a stomachache. Did you poison it?" The young man rolled his eyes. "It was extra spicy lunch. How'd I know your grandson would steal it?" "Lucky it's just spicy. What if someone put rat poison? Would you still accuse me of murder? It's your food, you're responsible." The old man insisted. "Did I give it to him? He stole it. Nothing to do with me." He began again when someone softly said, "If you don't take him to the hospital now, it might be too late." The old man panicked, dropped the argument, and ran to call an ambulance. The young man snorted. That kind of elder raises kids who steal lunches. Zhang acted like he heard nothing, smiled and stepped up. Hello, we're from the delivery company. Your goods have arrived. Please sign. The young man signed, glancing gratefully at Van Han. Thanks, if you hadn't said to send the kid quick he'd be worse, Van Han said seriously. Putting poison in food on purpose is illegal. If it's just spicy and he took it by mistake, you're fine. Even if they argue they've got no case, better stop fighting and get him treated. True, the man smiled. Zhang looked at Van Han strangely. How did she know that? She explained, I've traveled a lot, seen similar things, experience. Zhang didn't press, turned back to the customer, apologizing sincerely. We're short-staffed lately, deliveries delayed. Sorry, no problem, times are hard. The man waved. For speaking up, I'll give you 5 stars. He really did. Zhang glanced at her, thinking this newbie not only strong but socially sharp. The second stop was next block, Building A. Zhang checked the slip. 2 boxes charcoal, 1 grill, 1 backup power unit, 1 box candles, 1 solar panel, 1 solar lamp, 1 outdoor tent. He wasn't being nosy, just reading to find the right goods among many. Sometimes for privacy they came in 1 big bag labeled with address only. Van Han loaded the trolley. Zhang double-checked. That's all. Looks like someone's going camping, she said. He shook his head. Ever since winter blackouts dropped the temperature below -20, city folks started using charcoal and small generators at home, not for barbecues but heating indoors. Van Han fell silent, thinking it actually made sense. Better prevent disaster early. The client lived on the first floor, no stairs. Zhang knocked politely. Hello, delivery service. Please sign. A weary middle-aged man opened. It's mine. Bring it in. Sure. Zhang pulled the card in. Van Han noticed dark aura wrapping him. Sure sign of imminent death within 3 days. Yet oddly no death countdown above him. All here. Please sign, Zhang said while unloading. Ordered days ago. Only now you bring it, the man grumbled. Zhang smiled. Flu's bad, half our workers are out, staff short, can't keep up, the man snorted. Confirmed receipt, gave 4 stars, leaving. Zhang muttered, not the customer's fault, we were late. 4 stars still better than a 1-star complaint. Van Han stopped, glancing back. The room's newly decorated but has fresh sand and soil. The floor's loose. He might be digging a basement secretly, she said, pulling out her phone to call the police. Zhang panicked. He's a customer, gave us 4 stars, and you're reporting him, whispering and looking around nervously. You misunderstood. Even if he gave 5 stars, it should be reported, she replied. The line connected. Residential area XX, Building A. I'm a resident. I suspect neighbor 101 is illegally digging a basement, endangering others. She lied smoothly, unaware her number was flagged. Any report would be taken seriously, the operator said solemnly. Thank you. We'll dispatch officers immediately. Call ended. Zhang's face complicated. He's still a client, gave us 4 stars, maybe too much. Precisely because he's a valued customer, we should save him, Van Han said firmly. Years ago someone did that, collapsed the foundation, almost brought down the building. Not only himself but the neighbors in danger. Zhang half opened his mouth, finding her words oddly reasonable though eerie. Third stop, outskirts, a detached villa. On the way, Brother Zhang tried to drill the basics into the rookie. We're a delivery company. We only move goods. We don't meddle in people's private disputes, and we certainly don't snitch on clients behind their backs. This job isn't done that way. Even if staying put means the client and the neighbors will die, we still shouldn't call the cops? Van Han asked. Brother Zhang choked, then grumbled, don't jinx it like that. Even if some folks secretly dig a basement, how could that make a whole building turn into a collapse risk so easily? Before he finished, the radio broke in. Not long ago, police received a tip that a resident on the first floor of a certain complex had secretly dug a basement, raising safety concerns. After receiving the report, officers rushed to inspect. Results show the building's foundation was damaged, and the 30-story high-rise has become a structure on the verge of collapse. The area is now sealed, and residents have been arranged to stay in nearby hotels for the night. Brother Zhang slammed the brakes and stared at Van Han in fright. She frowned. The world's not safe lately, drive carefully. You're, he stammered. A girl, that's all, born with the sharper 6th sense. Van Han used her usual excuse. Sometimes I get a bad feeling, a strong premonition that something awful's about to happen. I saw it on a government site. They mention cases like yours, people with unusually high spirit. The client gave us 4 stars, we saved his life, so call it even. Forcing the whole affair to make sense, Brother Zhang started the truck and drove on. Elsewhere, right after the news, Van Haan received a notice: "Congratulations, player. In instance number 140,002, the apartment collapse incident, you rescued 145 humans. Clear rating, yes, rewarded attribute points, strength plus 0.3, agility plus 0.4, constitution plus 0.3, spirit plus 0.4. Your current attributes: strength 7.6, agility 7.5, constitution 7.8, spirit 8.5. Van Haan thought this might be the easiest rescue ever. No persuading or arguments, one phone call, the police verified, and the matter resolved. More importantly, the attribute rewards were generous. 145 people, likely the building would have fallen at dusk, at night, or toward dawn, burying a whole crowd of families. That is why the number is so high. Beyond that, she made another discovery: black mist coiling a body means death within from 1 to 3 days. The countdown only appears in the final few hours before passing. If there is black mist but no countdown, it means a few hours of life remain. A player can save people without personally entering the instance. Like this time, when the building collapsed, I absolutely was not in that complex, so the notice only says rescued, not that I survived within the instance. But after turning it over, she realized, the more instances she experiences, the more info she learns, the more precisely she can grasp the rules. Early generalizations get overturned and corrected, inching closer to the truth. The truck stopped at a self-built villa on the outskirts. Brother Zhang checked the invoice: generic goods. The slip says household daily necessities, nothing specific. Van Haan searched for a while and finally found it: this chest. It was a massive, very heavy wooden trunk, edges pinned with wooden nails, sealed tight. Perking up, she hoisted it onto a dolly and signaled, "Knock." He nodded and rapped the main door. After a short wait, a woman in her late 30s opened up. "Who are you looking for?" "Delivery company, your parcel," Brother Zhang beamed. "If everything's fine, please sign." "My father-in-law bought it. He should inspect first, then I'll sign." She glanced at the trunk. "Come in." He tugged the dolly inside. In the living room, a girl around 15 to 16 played with a little one around 7 to 8. Beside them, the hazy outline of their father, a middle-aged man, read a newspaper. An old grandmother sat on a single-seat sofa. The woman explained and said, "Dad's in the basement, I'll go call him." No one objected, just fetching someone from the cellar, simple, nothing to worry about. Then Van Haan leaned toward Brother Zhang, pitched her voice soft yet carrying, "I don't know why, but my heart's pounding with dread. It feels like something's about to happen." Embarrassed, he grinned at the family. "You just didn't sleep well. We'll swing by a clinic later, you'll be fine." "No," she insisted, "my sixth sense is warning me, there's danger." "You really?" He was mortified and helpless. "What danger could there be?" "You're overthinking." He kept smiling at the hosts. Van Haan thought, how could there not be? From the moment the woman decided to go down, a death countdown appeared on her, estimated to die in 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Van Haan had no idea what was in the cellar, only that going there was very dangerous. The grandmother's brows knit. "Don't say things like that, elders don't like to hear it," the middle-aged man warned, looking up. The woman, curious, asked, "What bad thing could happen?" Van Haan couldn't specify, her sense only alerted, it didn't detail. Seeing no answer, the woman smiled kindly. "A sixth sense isn't always right, don't stress, maybe you're just scaring yourself." When the woman moved again toward the cellar, Van Haan could only blurt, "Don't go." She was cut off. "If you keep this up, I'll file a complaint against your delivery company," the man said coldly. "What company hires you? You come into someone's home and meddle?" With that, she had to shut up. She could not get fired on her first day, much less drag the company's name through the mud. "Maybe I'm just paranoid," she said, climbing down. Brother Zhang knew she had a bit of a gift, but still mouthed a warning, "Don't make trouble." She bit her tongue and stood like a post. Books. 7 or 8 minutes slid by, the woman did not return. The man glanced at the clock. Why so long? The little girl suddenly burst into tears. Mom got eaten by a black hole." He shot Van Haan a glare. "See? Your nonsense scared the child. Van Han? She felt the child's spirit was sharp. She sensed her mother was in trouble. I'll deal with you later. He folded the paper, stood, and went to fetch them himself. 10 or so minutes passed. He did not come back. The grandmother panicked, eyes flicking to the clock, dread rising. What's going on? Why aren't they back? The teen finally snapped, eyes wet. She said she felt something was wrong and there might be danger. You wouldn't even check and told her to stop talking. Now look, something really happened. All because she couldn't say what exactly. The grandmother deflected. Sounds like a con artist. Van Han said nothing, standing quietly. The grandmother worried and told her granddaughters, "You two wait here, I'll go down and look." The instant she stood, the death countdown reappeared. Van Han said, "Grandma, please don't go." It was not for the old woman herself but for the two girls. If she didn't come back either, they would be orphans. The old woman flared and glared, "Be silent." Van Han closed her mouth. The grandmother hurried away. Van Han sighed, "Why won't anyone listen?" The teen, rattled and scared, looked up with tears. "Sister, why didn't you stop them? They're adults each with a mind of their own." "I couldn't." The first one to go could be forgiven for not knowing, but once something had already happened, the man and the grandmother still insisted on going alone and muzzled everyone else. So what? Could she say she could only respect their fate, fated to die? A few more minutes, and the grandmother still did not return. Brother Zhang eyed the two miners, powerless. "Call emergency." The police arrived quickly. Investigation showed the cellar stored a large quantity of potatoes. Because the space was warm and dry, the potatoes had rotted and produced a large volume of toxic gas. Since the cellar was sealed tight, the gas could not disperse and pooled near the floor. So the grandfather went down and never came back. The children's mother, unguarded, went to look, inhaled the gas, and collapsed. The father, almost as soon as he descended the steps, felt dizzy. He staggered a couple of paces and dropped, unconscious. Realizing trouble, the grandmother opened the cellar door to ventilate, planning to wait a while before going in to rescue. She did not expect that one brief moment at the threshold would fell her, and she too lost her life. With the results in hand, the police were speechless. The whole family, one after another, headed for the cellar, severing their own lifelines like a bleak joke. Stranger still, before it happened, a delivery woman with keen senses had said she felt a very bad omen, yet the family would not listen. The little girl seemed to sense it too and cried, but the adults shrugged it off as childish fussing. Layer upon layer of factors stacked up. In the end all the adults died, leaving only the two minors alive by luck. The case was ruled accidental. After more than 1 hour of turmoil, Brother Zhang and Van Han could finally leave. The job was delayed, and the parcel remained undelivered. In the driver's seat, Brother Zhang's head throbbed. Van Han asked, "What about the parcel?" "Take it back to the company and return it to the sender." He rubbed his brow, drained. "I told you, mind our own business. We're a delivery company, we deliver, and everything else is none of our concern." But as soon as he said it, a thought struck. Before the rookie arrived, he delivered every day and had never seen anything like this. Could it be? He looked at Van Han, heartbeat ticking faster. Something's off. Where is it weird? Van Han asked. Lately the world has been unsettled. Running into this kind of thing is normal. No, it is really very weird. Brother Truong was not fooled by consolation. His head ached, but his thoughts were clear. The government has publicly acknowledged the evolution game for a while. Before I partnered with others I would at most run into minor accidents on the road and get dragged into incidents by chance. But after teaming with you, the incidents are on a different level, like digging out a basement and turning an old residence into a house about to collapse. We go down to look and a family of 6 has only 2 kids left alive. Think carefully and it is too strange. Are you perhaps a little paranoid? Van Han said, since the government went public about the evolution game, this kind of thing happens often. It is normal, everyone is like this. For a moment Brother Truong wondered whether the problem was himself. But then he slapped his own forehead, cleanly smacking himself awake. In short, I cannot keep partnering with you. After we get back I will tell the person in charge and change teammates. Okay, Van Han agreed without caring.
Because reporting the danger had delayed them, Brother Truong thought he would be forced to work overtime at night, yet instead they skipped the noon break, ate, and went right back to work. The afternoon went smoothly, and he managed to deliver all the packages before quitting time. He felt a bit dazed. He began to wonder if he had wronged the newbie. There are many incidents these days. The bedbug count in the morning, the number of events they ran into slightly exceeded the usual. Once comment was understandable. Perhaps it only looked suspicious because bad luck happened to coincide with the newbie's arrival, and thinking so he even felt sorry for the newbie. As he was lost in thought, a delighted shout rang out, "Han Han!" He looked toward the voice and saw a boy stride up to Van Han, as if a wagging tail swished invisibly behind him. His tone carried a disarming innocence. "Han Han, I came to pick you up." Rumble rumble, tu duay? Brother Truong nearly bit his tongue and could not help stepping back. Tu duay turned his face, his eyes going cold. "Truong Mac?" Van Han was still wondering how the two knew each other. In a flash she remembered that many years ago among those who bullied Tu duay there had been a chubby kid also called Truong Mac. That little butterball had a pudgy face like a ball. If you stretched him taller and shaved off the extra fat he would look very much like the brother Truong in front of her. Thinking so, her face chilled. "So it is you." No wonder he looked familiar. Brother Truong ignored replying. He looked at Tu duay, clenched his fists tight, only thus did his body tremble less visibly. Van Han misunderstood, stepped forward to shield Tu duay and snapped at Truong Mac. "When you were small you did not know better and grabbed my boyfriend to bully. Now grown you still do not know better and think to bully him again." NK Books. Hearing that, Tu duay froze. Brother Truong was also dumbfounded. Who was bullying whom? Say it clearly. He wanted to argue, but he saw Tu duay peeking from behind Van Han. "Han Han, you are very right. Who does that sound like?" His body moved faster than his thoughts, and the next second he spun and ran. As he ran he called, "Hitting people is illegal. I will not stoop to your level." Then he vanished in a flash. "Han Han, just now you said, your boyfriend." Tu duay tugged at her hem, trying to steer the topic back to ask clearly. Compared to that question, whether Truong Mac ran or not was trivial. "Yes." Van Han lifted her chin and pointed at Tu duay. "You," then pointed at herself, "my boyfriend." Tu duay fought to suppress his wildly curling smile and continued, "Since when?" "The day you came to find me." Van Han wondered. "You said before dying you had to see me once, and I said from now on we live and die together. Is that not mutual confession?" Since both sides agreed, she tacitly accepted that they were together. Tu duay hugged her, so happy he did not know what to say. After a long time he let out a low sigh. "Han Han, for something like this you should ask me clearly." "Then ask now." She steadied herself and solemnly said, "Tu duay, are you willing to?" Before she could finish, he blurted, "Willing, willing, willing." Looking thoroughly cheap and undignified. Truong Mac had not thought of the past for a very long time. After so long he thought he had forgotten. But today upon seeing Tu duay the dusty memories surfaced at once and he realized he had never forgotten. Back then he was about 10, because he ate a lot he grew fat, round like a ball, and was often bullied. One day the clique who bullied him were beating another child. That child was thin and small, filthy all over, looking as if he had never fought. Truong Mac did not dare make a sound. He watched in secret, terrified the kid would be beaten to death. The brawl ended. A few days later he heard the child was called Tu duay and was only slightly hurt, nothing serious. He breathed in relief and thought it was over, but soon those people found him and said, "We know you hid in the bushes that day. We were beating Tu duay, but you felt grateful and did not report us, so you share our guilt." Seeing his fear they added, "If you join us, from now on we are brothers and share blessings. If not," their faces turned vicious, "every time we see you we will beat you. Do not dream of peaceful days." He was afraid. To avoid being beaten he agreed to join, and then he followed those hateful boys to gang up on a child younger and weaker than himself. He did not want to, but he had no way. Tell the teachers and at best they scolded a bit while not really caring. Tell his parents and they waved it off with kids or just playing. He even thought of telling on them to Tu duay's parents, but his mother had left and his father drank. There was no one to stand up for him. He thought of resisting, but the clique had numbers and strength. Its members were tall, strong, and good at fighting. Even if he and Tu duay joined forces they could not win. Gradually he gave up. The only thing he could do was to hold back on purpose when hitting, look fierce on the surface but not use force in truth. Not participating was not allowed because it was a group activity and refusal meant a beating. He did not know how long such days dragged on. He seemed unable to remember and also unwilling to remember. For a time he even loathed himself,
felt he was scum and wished to die. He wanted to die but did not dare and could only live on fecklessly. He once thought those dim days without light and hope would continue forever, until one day he entered lower middle school and could board at school. Ignoring his parents' advice, he insisted on boarding, resolved to draw a firm line and never join those group activities again. Things went well, and after boarding he did enjoy a stretch of easy days. But one night after evening study he was about to return to the dorm when someone leaped from the bushes, tackled him, and pummeled him black and blue. Under the dim street lamp he strained to see who it was. When he saw clearly he gasped, "Tu Douay." After beating his face to a pulp, Tu Douay left one line, "There are 15 left," and swaggered off. He did not even know how the other got into the school so late. The gated guards and outsiders were not let in, but not knowing did not stop the beatings. From then on, every 10 days or half a month, Tu Douay came by. At first Truong Mak begged, "Back then I never really used force on you, for that, spare me, I never wanted to mix with them. But if I refused outright they would come back to bully me, so Tu Douay said nothing." Each time after the fight he only reported how many remained. After many beatings Truong Mak grew desperate and wanted to complain to teachers and parents. Yet, even with a bruised face, the teacher did not believe, saying the boy was not a student here, so how could he enter? Or perhaps he had fallen himself and was framing someone. His parents were worse, asking whether dorm mates bullied him and he dared not say it, and told him to stop boarding and come home. In that moment he deeply felt what it meant to cry to the heavens with no answer and to the earth without response. After yet another beating he lay on the ground not wanting to move, but he could not accept it. "So many people beat you, why do you come only for me? Are you not picking on the weak?" Tu Douay glanced at him and corrected, "Everyone who bullied me was beaten, your injuries are the lightest." He was struck dumb. "You hit me those few times, I hit you back those few times, that is fair," Tu Douay added. "I am sorry, is that not enough?" Truong Mak blurted anxiously. "When I finish the remaining ones I will sincerely apologize to you as well." Tu Douay smiled, looking under the moonlight as wicked as a specter, then vanished. In the end Truong Mak discovered in despair that aside from being beaten there seemed no other way to make peace. Gradually he developed a fear of Tu Douay. Specifically, he could not see his face or hear his name. Once he encountered him his whole body trembled uncontrollably. Luckily, though Tu Douay was ruthless in beating, he kept his word. When he finished the last time he said, "Finished," and never came again. During winter break, Truong Mak secretly sought out the old cronies to ask whether they had been beaten. The moment he saw them he was scared stiff. Those faces and those wounds looked crippling. Before he could speak they were already sniffling that the injuries were from careless accidents and had nothing to do with anyone. He did not know what Tu Douay had told them, but from their reactions everyone understood that once the beating was done the matter was over. To make a scene would only deepen the grudge on both sides. Besides, since they had bullied him before, if it blew up it would not necessarily be him who was punished. Thinking he had figured it out, he then heard a crony hugging him and sobbing, "He is under 14, even if he kills he will not bear criminal responsibility, I am so scared." Truong Mak was speechless. "Do not say it like that, say it like that and I am truly scared as well." After that, his father was reassigned to a newly established branch, and the whole family moved. Zhang Yimou not only changed schools but also changed cities. The past gradually faded in his mind until he could no longer recall the names of those who once bullied him, except for Xiao Douay, who had teamed up with him for half a year and left a deep mark. In the end, many things were forgotten but Xiao Douay remained vividly clear. When they met again, his body seemed to remember the pain of being beaten before, even though he was now tall and strong. At the sight of Xiao Douay his first instinct was still to turn and run, because he had run into someone he never wanted to see again. Zhang Yimou had nightmares all night. The next morning he woke up with dull eyes, a lifeless face, and the exhaustion of a corpse. He kept repeating to himself that he must change partners, must stay away from that woman. A new day began. Early in the morning Zhang Yimou found his supervisor and solemnly made his request. The supervisor scolded him saying this was a time of staff shortage and a partner could not just be changed at will. Zhang Mo gritted his teeth and said he could work alone if needed. Desperate to get away from Yin Han, the supervisor held back his irritation, saying normally 2 people per team still complained of fatigue, so how could he handle it alone? Goods were piling up in the warehouse, customers were already unhappy. If because of him deliveries were delayed a day or two and complaints came in, who would bear the blame? If they received a mass of complaints at once, did he not want this job anymore? Zhang Mo wanted to say he didn't care, but in truth he did. He needed this job. The supervisor said suddenly wanting to change partners was impossible as he couldn't find a suitable person right now. After warning him of the consequences, he softened his tone, saying to wait a couple of days. Once the sick workers returned, he'd arrange something. Zhang Mo still insisted on changing. Anyone was fine so long as it was a change. The supervisor grew annoyed just as a phone call came in. He picked up and walked away, and Zhang Mo felt a wave of helplessness. Yunhan arrived on time, entered the company and saw her partner was still Zhang Mo. Immediately displeased, she asked wasn't he supposed to be changed. Zhang Mo replied curtly that there weren't enough people to swap yet. Yunhan wanted to protest but thought perhaps being teamed with her was punishment for him. So she smiled lightly and said she would follow the supervisor's arrangement, and so the matter was settled. In the car, Zhang Mo pretended to focus on driving, speaking nothing to Yunhan. The air was heavy. Yunhan acted unaware and pulled out her phone to read the news. Ever since the Evolution Game incident was made public, life across the Federation had become chaotic. Every day was filled with noise and scandal. Hot search topics changed several times a day. Yunhan made sure to browse the news daily to avoid missing anything important. When she opened the search engine, the top topic read cafeteria owner aiming for rank deliberately used stale ingredients causing mass food poisoning. She clicked in to read more. Bloggers condemned the owner's immoral behavior. Already more than 20 customers had been hospitalized. The owner staged the incident himself, harming others and then pretending to help by urging them to vomit or stopping others from eating. When exposed, he insisted it wasn't intentional, yet in the photos customers clutched their stomachs, faces pale, while the owner looked into thin air smiling broadly. Comments raged that this was outrageous, food poisoning could kill, he risked others' lives to save his own. People demanded he have some moral bottom line. Some said a person alive might already be dead, another dead might still live. Many called on the government to punish such crimes severely lest chaos spread. All the comments looked righteous and pure, unwilling to be tempted, yet the original post went up at 9 last night, and by morning food poisoning cases erupted across the Federation, most self-staged. Even the poster was stunned, saying he only meant to warn everyone to avoid eating randomly and to criticize unscrupulous vendors, but instead the effect was the opposite. The so-called rank A cleansing tactic spread widely. Some even brainstormed new versions, like setting fires in shops and then calling for evacuation, or adding castor beans into dishes and selling antidotes to those who got sick. The entire society fell into turmoil. People had to guard not only against accidents but against each other. Life became exhausting. Yunhan stared at her screen for 5 minutes, then calmly closed it. A moment later she reopened search, but no miracle happened. The same topic still topped the list. Giving up, she checked other news. At that time Zhang Mo laid out their delivery plan, saying he'd take the storage box to the 3rd floor client. She would go alone to the 6th floor to deliver medicine and a first aid kit, and after the client signed to meet by the truck downstairs before going to the next stop, Yunhan asked if he was really comfortable letting her go alone on her second day of work. Zhang Mo replied that precisely because she knew she needed the chance to train, go a few times and she'd master it, then asked sarcastically if such a simple task, after watching him do it so many times yesterday, she still hadn't learned. Yunhan said fine, she'd go herself if he dared to send her. She dared to go. She took the invoice, hugged the cardboard box, and entered the elevator. Zhang Mo pulled a larger crate on a dolly into another elevator. The bell chimed and the door slid open. He inhaled deeply to steady himself, stepped out with a standard smile, found the client's door, politely knocked, and called out loudly that he was from the delivery company bringing a package. Please open the door. No answer came, as he wondered whether the client was home and whether to call. The door opened. Just as he began to repeat his words, he saw inside a family of 3 doubled over, clutching their stomachs, moaning in pain. The father who opened the door gasped for him to call an ambulance. Zhang Mo silently took out his phone, called emergency services, and also reported to the police. The man leaned against the white wall, face twisted in agony, barely standing yet still managed to thank him. Zhang Mo forced a response saying it was nothing. The ambulance came quickly and took the family away. Soon after the police arrived to investigate, they found a pot of wild greens on the dining table. It seemed they had mistaken the poisonous Huanai herb for edible shweta greens, similar in color and shape and hard to tell apart. For public safety, the officers said the best way was simply not to pick wild plants. Yunhan finished her delivery and earned a 5-star rating. She waited by the truck for half a day but he didn't show. Instead she saw an ambulance and a police car. Unease stirred. She rode the elevator up to the 3rd floor and found the door of a flat wide open, police and medics moving in and out. Zhang Mo sitting at the threshold looking drained. She remarked pointedly that their delivery company only handled packages and unrelated matters were none of their concern. Idle people shouldn't meddle. Exactly the same words Zhang Mo had said to her the previous day. now fittingly returned. Zhang Yimou rubbed his face and gave a self-mocking smile, saying, "When people were lying on the ground, how could he just walk away?" Yun Han asked if he could show compassion for strangers, why not for the child smaller than him, Xiao Dui, who used to be so thin. How could he have joined in bullying him? Zhang Yimou snapped that she knew nothing and recounted that if he hadn't hit Xiao Dui he would have been beaten himself. That was the way things were. He was just a child, powerless. As a kid everyone fantasized about being a hero, dreamed of saving others, but in truth he couldn't even save himself. Growing up was like being sanded down by reality until he accepted mediocrity. He was no hero, just an ordinary man. Not harming society was already enough. For a moment Yun Han had nothing to say. After taking Xiao Dui and she had looked up those who bullied him, memorized their names, ages, faces, yet what she found was only surface. The truth beneath was hard to uncover. No one had told her Zhang Yimou joined them out of helplessness. Sometimes she looked at him and felt that though his body had grown, his inner self was still that chubby boy once bullied with nowhere to speak his pain. No one else knew how deeply childhood had marked him. Zhang Yimou then cursed that Xiao Dui was awful, that even when he followed orders to hit him he always held back. But later Xiao Dui came to his school to beat him viciously, with perfect timing, waiting for old bruises to fade before adding new ones, making him suffer every day for half a year. Classmates whispered he was a fool who somehow kept injuring himself. Yun Han blinked, asked he beat you? Zhang Yimou confirmed, told the whole story of Xiao Dui's revenge and begged Yun Han to judge if it wasn't too much, saying it left him with trauma. Yun Han replied, "You deserved it." Zhang Yimou was stunned. She said, "You claim you only followed along and even hit lightly. Even if all that is true, you still can't measure the harm your actions caused Xiao Dui, because it was you who provoked him first. Figures you're Xiao Dui's girlfriend, every line you say leans his way." Trong Mak snickered. "I think I'm very rational when analyzing. I haven't mixed in personal feelings," Van Han replied. "I sympathize with your experience and hope you weren't bullied in childhood, but that's different from you joining in to bully Xiao Dui and then being retaliated against. You're unfortunate, you're pitiful. Then take revenge on the ones who bullied you. Why did you follow them to bully Xiao Dui?" Trong Mak opened his mouth, but was cut off. "In the end you just chose someone easier to bully." He was speechless, and after a long quiet he said softly, "So even I myself hate how shameless I usually am." The silence was deathlike. He turned away and stiffly changed the subject. "Since young, Xiao Dui's only been close to one person. You're that jinx which everyone talks about, right?" "Here we go again." Van Han's blood pressure spiked. She didn't explain but asked back, "You were delivering the client's family of 3 ate poisonous herbs by mistake. Was that because you brought them bad luck?" "What a joke. I clearly saved them." Halfway through, Trong Mak got her point. "I've always been saving people, but because I often run into this kind of thing, folks around me treat me like a bad omen." Van Han seriously debunked. "Strictly speaking, I'm a shamaness who dispels disasters and removes misfortune, not one who harms people." Having misspoken, he felt a bit awkward, glanced aside and murmured, "Humans always hope others will understand them, while they themselves don't fully understand others. Find the common ground, set aside the differences, patch it together." She said easily, "Spouses and lovers don't have to understand each other completely, and even between fathers and sons or mothers and daughters there will be differences. No one is born knowing how to live, we all stumble through. Then find a few tricks to breathe easier." Trong Mak regretted deeply. "If only I hadn't done that then." He'd only been a kid, green and unable to think of a better response. "Also don't put all the blame on yourself," Van Han analyzed, reluctant but fair. "At the start you were simply a victim, and it was guardians and teachers who failed to protect you, which forced you to find ways to protect yourself." Moved yet puzzled why she would comfort him. He'd beaten her boyfriend. Hatred would be normal, he asked. "What do you want to say?" "You owe Xiao Dui an apology." He was stunned, almost blurting, "You're crazy. After being beaten back by Xiao Dui so many times, he should still apologize." "I won't," he shot back. She gave him a look and silently resolved to blacklist him. Before an apology, she would not warn or save him even if he were in danger. Once it was confirmed the homeowner had indeed eaten poisonous herbs by mistake, the police let them go. Van Han and Trong Mak continued the deliveries. They kept quiet, yet the air in the truck wasn't ice cold like before, rather faintly warmed. They stopped at the community gate. The foreman checked the invoice and confirmed 5 crates of dried goods, 2 crates of bottled water, 10 sacks of rice, 5 crates of mustard greens. He hesitated and said, "Too much to carry in one run. Explain to the customer and split into batches," she suggested. "That's the only way." He called the client to explain. She rummaged in the cargo. Just then, a terrified shout came from not far away. "Run! There's a lion on the main road." "What are you talking about? How could a lion be on the road?" Passers-by half believed it and strained to look that way. Less than half a minute later, a rail lion entered everyone's sight, pacing and wandering curiously down the broad roadway, strolling as it looked about. Run, the crowd scattered like startled birds. Hearing it, Van Han immediately stayed within the truck bed instead of going out and dialed the emergency number. Trong Mak was mid-call with the customer when the surrounding clamor drowned the voice on the phone. He frowned, about to seek a quieter spot, when the lion locked eyes with him. Cold sweat burst out and he bolted. The lion, excited, gave chase. Man and beast chased each other down the avenue like a game of tag. Please send someone quickly. Van Han leaned halfway out of the truck, watched the two figures recede, and added, the lion is chasing pedestrians and may injure people. Understood. I'll notify colleagues to head over, the dispatcher said. Elsewhere, Trong Mak ran for dear life. Don't come here. The lion galloped hard, urgent as well. Suddenly, a little child in the distance dropped a drumstick. As if lured, the lion stopped, sniffed, and padded toward the meat. The child's mother lifted the kid and fled. The lion approached the drumstick and ate contentedly. Having gained distance, Trong Mak braced against a wall, panting. Where did this lion come from, and why chase people? No idea. We called the police. Staff are on the way. Who knows when they'll arrive, a pale bystander said, trembling. I usually shake at big dogs, let alone a full-grown lion, he added, face strained. Oddly, while running, Trong Mak felt lighter than usual. After a brief rest he felt much better, as if he could run again. He scanned around, saw the lion still gnawing, waited, then searched for an escape route. At that moment, a young man moved against the flow and walked toward the lion. Careful! Don't go! Lions eat people, cries rose. Unexpectedly, the youth reached the lion and felled it with one punch. The onlookers, what? He pulled a rope from his pocket, bound the lion tightly, then tied the rope to a tree, and, job done, walked off as if nothing had happened. People stared dumbfounded. How did he knock a lion out with one punch? Could he be one of those superpowered people from the internet? Goodness, how strong is he if a lion can't take a single blow? Only Trong Mak said nothing, eyes complicated as he fixed on the young man's back. Tu Due, he whispered, bittersweet. He had long believed his deep impression of Tu Due came from being beaten too harshly, yet in this instant a thought flashed. Perhaps he remembered because of guilt years ago, forced by others, he bullied an innocent good man, Han Han. Spotting her from afar, Tu Due ran up. Why are you here? She asked, surprised. I felt you might be in danger, so I came to save you. What danger could I be in? If I sensed things going wrong, I'd run first. By the way, where's the lion? I knocked it out, he said. Huh? She wondered if her ears failed. It was swaggering down the road. What if it hurt you? So I struck first and punched it out. Now praise me. Tu Due beamed. I am awesome. Well done. Only when he said it did she realize there was such a method as one punch to subdue. When she saw the lion, she had zero thought of approaching, only to run and call. Thinking so, she asked, weren't you afraid? This fear wasn't true terror but a long-ingrained habit of avoidance. Seizing the chance to confess, he said, I'm not afraid. I must protect Han Han. She smiled bright. Her little pup was the best. The police arrived with tranquilizer guns and took custody of the unconscious lion. Puzzled, they asked, who did this? A bystander raised a phone. A young man. I filmed it. The clip showed the youth strolling up and dropping the lion with a single blow, and the officers' faces turned grave as they conferred. Just then, a middle-aged man rushed over. This lion is raised by our park. It slipped out when I wasn't looking. Officers, since it didn't hurt anyone, could you return it to me? The police wore a pensive look. You just got here yet already know it didn't hurt anyone, the man choked, then patched. I'm its keeper. I know this kid is always docile and won't hurt people. Do you perhaps think you can control it and deliberately let it out, waiting for chaos so you could rescue folks and snag a grade A evaluation? One officer stared without blinking. No way. I don't understand what you mean. The man grinned weakly while his palms sweated. One glance told the cops enough. A hand patted his shoulder. A colleague at the bureau recently awakened of lie detection ability. Whether you're lying can be tested quickly. If this has nothing to do with you, you won't mind coming with us, right? Sweat beaded his brow. Without waiting for excuses, they pressed him into the car and hauled both man and lion back to the station. The farce ended. Resolved, Trong Mak returned to the truck, cutting into Tu Due and Van Han's chat. I have something to say to you. Tu Due looked annoyed, but with Van Han watching he forced civility. Say it. Trong Mak bowed. I'm sorry. Back then I shouldn't have followed them to beat you. If only I had stood with you and been beaten alongside you instead. The body would hurt, but the conscience wouldn't. He simply hadn't known he could transfer schools in junior high and get free of those people. The moment the past was mentioned, Tu Due grew tense. He didn't know that Van Han had learned he once beat Trong Mak and only wanted to steer away. I've long forgotten the past, from now on everything's wiped clean, let's not bring it up. At that instant of forgiveness, release flooded Trong Mak, he could finally set it down and forgive himself. Perhaps he'd wanted to apologize long ago, had Tu Dui not come knocking years back to beat him. Still, it wasn't too late. Making peace with Tu Dui was making peace with himself, unburdened. He felt light and smiled. You two really match. Then he gestured to Van Han. You two chat, I'll finish the delivery. Leaving space for the little couple, watching him go, she asked softly, are you okay? Tu Dui answered solemnly, though he's a lousy person, his taste isn't bad. After all, the guy said they were a good match. Tu Dui chose magnanimity, forgiving the other's ignorant youth. Besides, the revenge that needed taking he had long since taken. I only want to tell you, Van Han said slowly, as a victim, even if the abusive side sincerely apologizes, you still have the right not to forgive. Not only Tu Dui but every victim in the world has that right. The middle-aged man who called himself a lion breeder walked into the police station and after just a few questions confessed that he had deliberately released the lion just to get an A rating. Because his actions caused extremely serious consequences, he was heavily punished. At the same time, the government's official website issued its first notice saying that recently there had been repeated acts endangering public safety and those who continue such crimes would be severely punished, urging everyone to think carefully before acting. A famous blogger also posted warning not to think food poisoning is a small matter that won't endanger lives. Someone had already died of food poisoning while others vomited and suffered diarrhea with weakened immunity, letting the flu take advantage, and others voiced that no one should create food safety problems just to get an A. If rescue is not timely, it's equivalent to intentional harm. If you find someone around acting suspiciously, please report them for your and your family's safety. If the report is verified true, I'm willing to fund rewards from 1 to 10,000 depending on the severity. With moral condemnation, heavy punishment, public reporting, and cash rewards, the situation was temporarily brought under control. Where's the other guy? After delivering the package, Zhang Mo returned to find Xia Dui gone. Van Han replied she still had work to do and let him play on his own. Zhang Mo vaguely felt something strange about that wording but couldn't tell what. After thinking a bit, he dropped it and said, get in the car. Let's deliver the next one. On the road, Zhang Mo drove absent-mindedly, glancing at Van Han now and then. After several times she asked directly what he wanted to say, he glanced at the cloth bag in her hand, coughed awkwardly and said it feels amazing how she acts differently before him and before Xia Dui. She calmly answered, people have many faces, one for colleagues and one for family. It's normal. As for the face reserved for Xia Dui that only appears when facing him, there's no need to tell an outsider like Zhang Mo. He said she treats Xia Dui very well, seems she really cares. Not even sure what he meant to do, he wasn't planning to break them up, but seeing Xia Dui so smooth in love made him jealous. Maybe he just wanted to tease a little without ruining anything, like a harmless prank. Van Han seriously said, if you treat everyone equally you'd be too harsh to those close to you. If you can't even treat the one you care about well, that's too cruel. Zhang Mo went silent. He hadn't even found a chance to sow discord before a wave of cold dog food slapped him in the face. Thinking again that she's a witch who sees life and death lightly, how would she care about petty teasing? So he wisely shut up. Just then the radio broadcasted news of a violent tornado collapsing the century-old theater roof with 1 dead and 28 injured. As the news played, small stones outside were blown against the truck's reinforced glass with crisp sounds. Van Han worriedly asked if the glass was strong. He said, don't worry, it's impact-proof reinforced glass. While speaking they arrived. Zhang Mo opened the door and a gust nearly blew him off his feet. He spat sand and grumbled, the wind's too strong. Van Han checked the invoice and items saying 2 boxes of compressed biscuits and 2 boxes of milk. That's all. Zhang Mo nodded, pulled the trolley ahead while Van Han followed just behind, having him block the wind. Taking the elevator up, they stopped at room 404. Zhang Mo knocked and with a polite smile said they were the delivery company bringing his goods and asked to sign. Waited but no answer. Knocked louder and repeated, still silent. Maybe he's not home. Zhang Mo tried calling but no one picked up. Van Han listened carefully and said, the phone's ringing inside, meaning it's been left there. He's not answering because he's not near it. Zhang Mo sighed helplessly, can't contact the customer if the phone's inside, can't leave goods outside or decide later without discussion. While hesitating, a neighbor opened the door halfway asking if they were looking for Xiao Gu. Said he's a freelance illustrator who works at home and hadn't gone out today, should be inside. Try calling louder. Zhang Mo knocked hard again, calling out. After 3 minutes still no response. Van Han got a bad feeling, suddenly thinking of carbon monoxide poisoning. Not sure why, but the thought rooted in her head. She
Asked the neighbor if he had been burning charcoal lately. The neighbor nodded, saying some time ago when another city had a winter power cut, Xiaogu got anxious and bought charcoal and a brazier online, saying it keeps warm and can roast sweet potatoes. Quite convenient. Once he even brought me roasted potatoes. As she spoke, she realized something was wrong. Maybe he sealed the windows and smoked himself. Van Han said possible and instinctively felt that's the truth. The neighbor panicked, urging to get someone to open the door, saying Xiaogu rents here and she knows the landlord, she'll call her. Van Han thanked her. Thanks to the helpful neighbor, the landlord arrived in 5 minutes, at first hesitant, saying since they hadn't reached him directly maybe he was just out and entering with a spare key might be inappropriate. Van Han anxiously explained they'd knocked with no answer, called with no pickup, and the neighbor hadn't seen him all day. What if something happened inside? The landlord, instantly convinced, took out the spare key while knocking and shouting that they were worried and coming in. The door opened to a brazier burning bright red in the living room with an iron rack holding charred sweet potatoes, all windows closed. A man collapsed in front of them unconscious. The landlord's face turned pale, screaming for him to wake up. Van Han ordered to extinguish the brazier and open the windows. The best way is to cover with sand, but with nothing suitable. Zhang Yimou simply poured water, a hiss, and the fire went out. Van Han quickly called an ambulance. Soon paramedics arrived and took him away. The landlord's legs went weak, thanking the neighbor and Van Han. The neighbor sighed, saying Xiaogu was lucky. If the delivery company hadn't come, she'd never notice. Van Han modestly said they only suspected and it was the landlord who saved him. The two women smiled warmly while Zhang Yimou held his forehead, realizing the delay meant another late-night shift. Unexpectedly, as they left the community, they received a new alert. Latest news: the tornado rampaged, killing 3 people. Residents should stay indoors unless absolutely necessary. Repeating again, Van Han wondered if delivering goods counted as necessary. Zhang Mo stayed silent. Though he'd worked for years, he'd never seen such a case and didn't know. But losing face before Van Han, he pressed his lips without speaking. Before he could think further, someone knocked on the window. It was a police officer. Zhang Yimou rolled it down, intending to explain they were from a delivery company heading to deliver goods, but was cut off. The officer barked, "What are you delivering at a time like this? Go find shelter now." Several cars have already been blown away and power poles and trees are flying everywhere. Zhang Yimou wanted to answer but was cut off again, told to hurry and not hesitate. Obeying orders, he backed off as the officer also went to find cover. The tornado roared for hours. When it stopped, the streets were a mess. Worse yet, several cities including theirs suffered power outages. Hearing that, Zhang Yimou was dumbfounded. A large-scale blackout across cities in this modern society? But it was true, he confirmed repeatedly while others told him to face reality bravely. Van Han reminded earlier a customer worried his city might follow others' blackout and bought backup power. His concern wasn't unfounded. Now it's useful. Zhang Yimou was speechless because he'd thought that customer paranoid or hoarding equipment. Now looking back, the man was truly foresight, while he himself seemed an overly optimistic fool. Taking a deep breath, not wanting to dwell on his own pathetic escape, he asked if she'd stocked supplies. She said food and necessities, yes, not much but enough for a while, then joked that when the neighbor stores food but I store wounds, the neighbor becomes my granary. Storing too much isn't always good. Zhang Mo's pupils shrank as a chill ran down his spine. Van Han glanced at the darkening sky, saying the winds mostly stopped. It's night and police forbid wandering, so today's work's done. Someone's waiting at home. I'll head back. She waved goodbye and walked away. Zhang Mo watched her figure fading for a long time, lost in thought. Van Han is a witch. If her words turn to prophecy, the world may soon descend into chaos. When Van Han got home, she found the room dark, only a candle burning. She asked, "Why not switch on the light?" They had a backup power bank and a small solar charger that could handle lighting for a long while. Tu Due explained, "Every other house is pitch black, if only ours is bright, we'll stick out." He didn't add that if neighbors thought they were well prepared, they might not to borrow food, and whether they lent or refused would be trouble, so better to pretend the outage hit too suddenly to prepare. After dinner, Van Han used the backup to heat water, showered comfortably, then as she sat to dry her hair, she found someone hiding in the quilt. Half annoyed, half amused, she said, "Why are you on my bed?" They usually slept in separate rooms. Tu Due, solemn, "It's cold and we can't run the heater." Han Han, "I'm warming your quilt." She said, "No need, I don't fear the cold." With a high constitution stat, summers weren't too hot, winters not too cold. Outside the low was only a few degrees below zero and she could handle it. After a pause, he blurted, "I'm scared and need Han Han's hug to fall asleep." She laughed. "What are you saying? Your constitution is even higher than mine." He rapped her, wheedling, "When it's freezing, it feels cold anyway." She felt like a big furnace was toasting her back, and 800 little puppy thoughts whispered. One person sleeps and by midnight the quilt goes cold, two people sleep and by morning it's still toasty. All right then, blame the blackout, she said, slipped under the covers, and beckoned him over. He did not need inviting, found his spot beside her and chimed in, right, who would think the grid cuts power when winter dips a few degrees below zero? She blew out the candle. After a busy day she drifted off fast. Tu Due quietly hugged her, grinning super duper happy. At dawn the next day, the gale outside kicked up again. The sky was so overcast there was no sun. Tu Due suggested, with weather this bad, maybe skip work today? Right then the supervisor called. She stepped into the next room. Hello? He rushed. Shipments are stalled, customers are hounding us with complaints. Today we work as usual, get here quick. She frowned. Yesterday, on my delivery route, I heard the government notice non-essential residents shouldn't go out. We don't count as essential, do we? In her view only jobs like doctors or police should brave a cyclone to hold the line, he coaxed. Customers paid and haven't received goods, imagine how anxious they are. Our work is important, no one is dispensable, especially me. Van Han didn't buy it and fired a string of soul-pinching questions. Did police approve employees going out? If something happens, who is liable? Personal action or a workplace accident on duty? Is today paid normal wages or triple? He stalled. Then, just come in first, we'll sort the rest later. Trust me, the company won't mistreat hard-charging workers. She heard the blank check loud and clear. No guarantee, best if nothing happens, and if it does they'll argue. She said flatly, this is a cyclone, mishandle it and people get badly hurt or die. It isn't some small mishap. He suddenly sounded rattled. You didn't already hear, did you? The stray line made no sense, but she kept the upper hand. Hear what? Books. He stammered. The concert hall roof collapse was an accident. The boss and his wife just happened to attend the show and that's why they were injured. You folks delivering outside won't be that unlucky. He tried to soothe her, but she was speechless. The boss and his wife were hurt by the storm and the supervisor hit it while urging her to defy the stay-home order. So much for valuing a worker's life. She had meant to decline tactfully, but now she couldn't be bothered to find a pretext. It's too dangerous. I won't be going out for a while. He snapped coldly. Skipping work on your own, do you want to be fired? She said, no need to fire me, I resign, I'm done, and hung up, clean and merciless. She did not even ask about the last few days' wages. He never expected that ending and was left gaping. With no need to go out and supplies not a worry, life was still comfy. Sprawled on the sofa, Van Han scrolled her phone. Though the government advised staying in, some residents had not stocked up and had nothing to eat, so they had to risk shopping. Others simply underestimated the cyclone, thinking it was only stronger wind, that with some protection they could dash to the supermarket. One streamer swore up and down, even posted before stepping out, I'm heading out, wait for my safe return. Half an hour later he was back and his tone flipped, if it's not essential, don't go out, don't gamble with your life. Fans asked if he'd been hacked. He said, no, it's me. Then, why did I change my mind in half an hour? Reality taught me, buildings damaged, trees twisted and snapped, and someone got hurt right in front of me badly, coughing blood. I don't know if they'll make it. If you don't have to, don't go out. This time the government's order is solid. People joked, half an hour ago, cowardly cyclone, I'm super brave. Half an hour later, don't go out for anything. This storm has zero humanitarian spirit. When it rages it really pushes people toward death. Someone said, lucky I stock up, my snacks last more than a week. Another had just bought rice and noodles, porridge could stretch a month, but the phone battery was nearly dead with nowhere to charge. A reply came, no fear, I bought a hand-crank solar generator, can charge by sun, by crank, by dry batteries, or by USB. With no sun today I'll crank later, counts as a workout. Though it was a disaster, the net stayed cheerfully noisy until a post of accusation shattered the calm. Have some people gone broke and mad? I bought 2 big bags of snacks at the supermarket and on the way home I didn't meet the Gale but did meet a superpower user who robbed my snacks. Seriously, so poor you can't afford 2 bags of snacks? That seemed to be a signal. Soon others chimed in. The meat and salted fish drying on my open balcony were stolen. No idea who did it, my home is on the 15th floor. I bought rice and noodles, spaced out for a bit, and the rice was gone. Could you have some dignity, so fast and you only stole a single sack of rice? Went out to shop and got waylaid by robbers. I got so angry I awakened a power, thrashed the muggers, and now I'm at the police station. Any questions? No one asked anything, just question marks. Much later someone said, awestruck, badass, truly hardcore. The poster replied, it's really nothing special. I awakened the most common power, raw strength. The other side had gone through 1 or 2 incidents and their stats had nudged up, otherwise I wouldn't have beaten them. People answered, wake up, streamer, superpower users are extremely rare right now. Whatever you awakened is awesome. Isn't the most awesome part the reason for awakening? Blocked by robbers, got so mad you awakened too wild. I've survived more than a dozen close shaves, found life and death several times, still waiting on stats to push me into powers, crying with envy. Say no more, I'm heading out to see if a trigger finds me. Someone offered, the government is short on manpower and recruiting, go sign up, accept in your staff. The streamer, great idea, I'll consider it. Van Han backed out and tapped trending, a fresh topic was rocketing up. What are the top 3 jobs this year? It was a pick 10 choose 3, and the top 3 by votes were doctor, police officer, and cremator. Inside were reasons. Doctors are essential, good pay, chances to save lives, a big rearline role, not rushing the front like police, trust me, pick it and go. A. Relative who's a doctor currently has 4 attributes, strength, 2, agility, 3, constitution, 6, spirit, 2. I hear doctors advance to rank A easily and shed debuffs, but they skew hard into their specialty. Once constitution hits 6, the 4 stats barely rise unless you score very high on evaluations. If you lack ambition, being a doctor is nice. An incumbent doctor vents, it's not as good as you think. Say, as accidents come thicker, many who witness disaster scenes develop psychological illness and flood the psych clinics. Before long the psychiatrists and nurses fall ill too. Doctors are human, not emotion dumpsters. Taking in that much negative energy daily is hard to digest. Hence first place should be police, serve the people, built in honor, always at the first scene, facing danger, many chances to gain powers. Is that not sarcasm? I meant to pick police, but after reading that I switched to cremator. In recent years the funeral trade has only 3 states, good, better, and best, no layoffs to fear, only too many dead to process. No one knows how long the boom lasts, but at least this year there's nothing to worry about, so if it's this year's top, of course cremator. Truth is I wanna pick postmortem beautician, but since there's no option I'll funnel my vote to cremation. Though police work is dangerous, I still choose it, first for glory, second because if I die in the line of duty my family will be cared for, then I can rest in peace. Nothing else stood out. Van Han stared at the comment. Strength, 2, agility, 3, constitution, 6, spirit, 2, once constitution hit 6 the 4 attributes barely climb and fell into thought. I'm a porter in the comments. Hashtag suddenly remembered that old clip where someone mistook orange scent cleaner for a drink. The first person said, this tastes off, let me take another sip to check. The second said, what's off, let me sip. The third said, sounds normal, you're overthinking, watch me take a sip. In the end, total party wipeout. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag, ha 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 ha, dumb yet a bit adorable. The gale-driven blackout dragged on for 5 days. The first day people still joked to find cheer. The second day they were at a loss, too cold, I've caught a cold and my nose won't stop running. There's no medicine at home and the pharmacy has none. By the third day they were going mad, when will this outage end? I can't even bathe, my whole body feels awful, I could die. The fourth day was a breakdown, never thought I'd one day freeze to death in this city. To keep warm I burned every chair in the house. The fifth day was despair, when will these days end? Don't tell me it'll be outages forever from now on. Some could no longer see a future and plunged into an end times rebel, planning to go wild once before life ran out. That day, as usual, Van Han sat on the sofa scrolling hot searches when the hair on her arms stood up. A chill ran her spine. Her inner danger gauge spiked to grade C. Han Han. NK Books. Tu Due shouted her name and burst into the living room. At the same time the glass window shattered and a tiny object streaked straight at her. In a flash she thrust out her right hand and caught the hidden projectile, opening her palm to find a bullet lying still in the center. Right then more shots cracked outside, gunfire, glass shattering, and residents' screams braided together into a chilling din. I'm going out. Before she could stop him, Tu Due vaulted the open balcony rail and, with a few bounds, dropped to the ground. A man there was cradling a rifle, spraying indiscriminate fire at the complex. Whenever he heard glass break, cries inside homes, or the sound of struggling, a look of intoxication came over him. After emptying a magazine of 30 rounds he reached to reload, but before his hand found a fresh mag Tu Due crashed in with a punch. What are you doing? I've got a rifle, the man bluffed.
Hoping the rifle without a magazine could still scare off his foe, Dewey lunged, wrenched the gun, twisted barrel and stock into a wad, then tossed it aside like trash. And Esper. Terror crept over the man's face. This is a misunderstanding. I didn't mean to attack you. Dewey answered nothing, only hammered him with punch after punch as if venting. The man howled in pain. I'm sorry. I sincerely apologize. Please stop. Dewey fisted his hair. Eyes ice cold. Do you know what you just did? You nearly accidentally killed her. The man didn't know who he'd nearly killed, but survival instinct made him admit fault at once. I was wrong. I lost my mind and fired at random. He hadn't finished when a kick sent him skidding into the wall. Blood spurted from his mouth as he lay flat and couldn't rise. His insides felt scrambled. Dewey was about to continue when sirens swelled closer. When you need them, you never see them. When you don't, they come faster every time, he grumbled under his breath and pinned the man face down. Soon cruisers braked to a stop. Officers ringed them and leveled guns. Don't move, the man who sprayed the complex with a rifle is here, Dewey called. I've subdued him. Come help. The police traded looks. Two rushed up to secure the kidnapper, yet they kept their weapons trained. The captain barked, Who are you? Why are you here? Dewey smiled mildly. I'm Dewey. I've awakened an ability. I couldn't sit by while a thug attacked people, so I came to stop him myself. He spoke with upright fervor, righteous to the core. I only did what a citizen should, no thanks needed. Even so, because he'd appeared at the crime scene acting suspicious, he was still taken to the station for questioning. Neighbors testified. Gunshots came first. We peeked out and saw the man on the ground firing wildly. Then an Esper dropped from the sky and put the kidnapper down. Forensic checks found only the prone man's prints on the rifle's trigger, thus the case was clear. A normal citizen fired indiscriminately. A warm-hearted Esper stepped up to stop his unlawful act. You hit him pretty hard, a young officer muttered. Officer, Dewey said coolly, he had a weapon. I may be an Esper, but I'm still afraid of guns. The junior next to the captain fell silent. The captain explained, by incomplete count, that shooter caused 2 dead and 14 injured. To stop him, even dropping him on the spot is reasonable. The young cop bowed his head. The captain apologized to Dewey. The kid doesn't know better, please don't mind. Dewey glanced aside, unwilling to chat. Questioning ended, and he was released. Passing the next interrogation room, the gunman accidentally met his eyes and panicked. I'll confess everything. Just keep him away from me. Sensing something off, the interrogator prodded. That depends on your cooperation. The man bobbed like a woodpecker. I'll cooperate. Absolutely. I lost my job. I'm in debt, rent's due, and I'm about to be evicted. Everything piled up, so I snapped. I also joined a forum. Lots of people like me who feel the world is broken. Someone said he could get bombs and guns. If we wanted, we could go crazy once before the end. I was tempted, realizing the gravity. Officers pressed. You only bought a rifle. What about bombs? Did you get them? With what money? How did you trade? How do you contact him? The man laid it out. I wanted bombs too. They're planted at 3 spots. XX, XXX, XXXX. Timer's already set. He didn't want money. Said anyone from the forum who wanted one would be sent one. I don't know how he does it. Give a real address and at the appointed date and hour a package appears at the door. The courier writes only the recipient's forum handle. Contact is in forum. He forbids private chats. Whoever wants guns or bombs can ping his handle. When do they go off? 1 in 5 minutes, 1 in 15, 1 in 25. Damn it. The officer sprang up to alert the unit, calling the bomb squad to sweep and disarm. The young cop reeled. If the Esper hadn't scared him, would he have talked so fast? The captain didn't answer directly. Move, disarm first. Elsewhere, Dewey walked out of the station to find Van Hahn waiting at the door. How do you go out for a minute and end up inside the station? He ducked his head in apology. No need to ask. I know you want to stand up for me. She took his hand. Let's go home. He suddenly hugged her and rasped. You absolutely must not get hurt. In truth, even if a bullet hit me, it would at most leave a shallow scratch. It can't pierce my skin, she said. He blinked. Really, my defense is very high. Ordinary attacks can't break it. I just haven't used my ability since awakening, so I wasn't sure. Usually, sensing danger, she ran first. He was silent a beat, then returned to normal. That habit is good. You must keep it. Come on, home. Under the evening glow their shadows crossed, looking unusually harmonious. On the 8th day the power finally came back, yet before that the frenzied public had stirred up endless havoc. Campus shootouts, roadside spray shootings, subway bombings, panic gripped the Federation. Incidentally, that night at the station Dewey received a system prompt. Congratulations, player, for surviving instance number 140. 1230, terror attack incident.
Congratulations on directly saving 28 people and indirectly saving 163, clearance rating S, reward attribute points, strength plus 0.3, agility plus 0.3, constitution plus 0.3, spirit plus 0.3. Your current stats: strength 8.1, agility 7.6, constitution 8.8, spirit 6.7. With power restored, Van Han planned a supermarket run for food and supplies since the stockpile had been partly used up, but before leaving she got a fresh interview invite. "You go interview first," said Tu Due. "I've got the house." Reassured, she left. He cleaned the place then went shopping. While he shopped, a suspicious man in a black suit loitered behind him, studying Tu Due but not daring to approach. Tu Due treated him as a stranger and paid. In the underground garage, Lugi had tailed him and, at a corner, was slammed flat with his cheek against the car's flank. "Brother Tu, it's me." Little Lu. The familiar move proved it was his brother Tu indeed, yet Tu Due didn't release him, only asked, "Why are you following me, since you left?" "The boss has been in danger many times, he wants you back," Lugi confessed. "No," Tu Due said, letting go and striding off. "Don't be like that, think it over, the boss treats you well, he'd give you 1/10 of his fortune, miss this and you'll never see the like." Tu Due stopped and turned, returning is the boss's wish. Staying is mine, understand and get lost, we have nothing to discuss, don't. Lugi clung like glue, the boss is in real danger, death brushed him several times, he really needs you. Seeing no effect, he switched tactics, then say what you want, help him through this and he'll get it for you. "I want to marry the one in my heart, tell me how the boss will help." Lugi was speechless, given a wish for anything. "You think of marriage," and seemed to have the person picked already. His face said it all, so Tu Due thumped him again. "Didn't your teachers teach you to respect others' dreams?" Stop. After this love education, Lugi's eyes were puffy but his mind enlightened. "I swear, I'll treat every dream equally." Tu Due's fist paused, Lugi babbled on. "Whether your dream is to wed your beloved, be a rich lady's puppy, be a house husband, or be kept to eat soft rice, I'll respect it." Tu Due felt the jab and raised his fist again. Lugi nearly cried. "To me your dream is as great as becoming a doctor or a cop. You and your girlfriend absolutely make a perfect match." On that perfect match point, Tu Due agreed. He lowered his hand and circled back. "On marrying a wife, can the boss help?" Lugi stalled. The boss had granted him huge latitude, promising that if he brought the man back money would be no issue. But money was not the issue, because brother Tu didn't want to discuss money, he wanted the boss to help him marry, to a specific person no less. So, seeing him stammer, Tu Due said bluntly, "Useless." Whether he meant Lugi or the boss, only heaven knew. A spark hit Lugi and he straightened. "Brother Tu, you can't chase girls like that, you're hot-tempered, you hit and you curse, what girl wouldn't be scared? She might think you'd be violent after marriage." "Violence isn't my interest, my interest is paying back exactly what I receive." Tu Due smiled without smiling. Ice ran down Lugi's back though he forced a grin. "Then why treat me like this? Did I slip up? Liking one-sided violence makes it easy to forget what you did." Tu Due's voice was soft but his eyes were knives. "The first day I reported in, you saw I was skinny and said you'd teach me the rules, and your so-called rules were fists, a license to discipline anyone weaker than you. If those are the rules, when you find yourself the weaker side you should follow them too. You can't preach rules when you're strong and cry equality when you're weak. That's no good." Lugi trembled, palms sweating, he forced a smile. "Did that really happen?" "I don't remember, Brother Tu, if I displeased you before, I apologize. Please don't hold it against me, life's too short to fuss, let's forget the unhappy past so we can be happy." He rattled on. Tu Due only flicked him a glance and kept quiet until Lugi, sensing the mood, shut up and bowed to admit fault. "You act honest before me only because I'm stronger," Tu Due said lazily. "No grievance there, I'm just treating you as you treated me." Yes, I deserve it," Lugi thick-skinnedly agreed, then realized that if he kept pestering he might fail the boss and also doom himself, so, for his life, he dropped his pride. "If there's nothing else, scram," Tu Due said coldly. Lugi fled as if pardoned. Tu Due stood there and suddenly laughed. "If every reunion turns me into a violence freak, how cruel is this world to me?" He'd told Van Han his workplace was great, room and board plus high pay, and it was true. Once he'd beaten every defiant man into submission, life was indeed friendly, but before he could protect himself, or before his overwhelming might was revealed, the only person to treat him warmly was Han. "This world is filthy enough to sicken me." He itched to drag Lugi back and kick him a few more times, but he held back. The law may fail to catch villains, yet it still restrains decent folk who keep their lines. He still had wishes, he didn't want to perish with the world. Van Han came back from the interview only to say there was no offer. She planned to keep polishing her resume and look for another job. Did the company have some problem? Tu Due asked, convinced the issue must be on their side if Han Han could pass the interview yet still not take the job. Van Han hinted, the boss owns several stores, one of them is an insurance company, and Tu Due got it, then forget it, because ever since the Evolution game went public there had been too many accidents and mishaps and quite a few insurers had gone bankrupt, so knowing the company could not last long there was no need to jump into a pit. Van Han grumbled, why do I feel like you keep staring at me since I got back? And Tu Due explained, I am in a bad mood, but when I look at Han Han I feel happy at once, which made her laugh. Alright, if it works that magically then I will allow you 2 more looks. He agreed solemnly. After dinner, Tu Due did the dishes and, as usual, Van Han scrolled her phone. She stumbled on a post, a tiny survey of modern married life. After meals in your home, who washes the dishes, with results saying women did the washing over 70% of the time. Men cursed that the numbers were puffed up, that many men also had to wash, that the female share was not that high, while women cursed back, saying some had faked votes and that the real ratio was even higher. For instance, in a 7-day cycle women washed 6 days and men 1 day, and yet the men shamelessly voted for themselves, claiming they were in charge of washing dishes. As the quarrel dragged on, passers-by could not stand it. Apart from men and women, is there no other option? Like a dishwasher? Like a housekeeper auntie? Like disposable tableware so you can toss it after eating and skip the washing? The era advances and tech develops. Can we not together pursue the good life of not washing dishes? Van Han, as if walking down the street and getting kicked for no reason, she stood up, went to the kitchen to find Tu Due, and said seriously, I do not like washing dishes and I do not like cooking. Before, when I lived alone, I ordered takeout every meal. If you do not like it either we can hire a housekeeper or buy a dishwasher. Do not force yourself. He did not know why she blurted this out. He smiled, no need, do not swallow grievances in silence. She disapproved, who would like washing dishes anyway? He hesitated and muttered, I want more points. That unexpected answer made her pause. If we stockpile enough points we can level up to a couple, and if we keep stockpiling, could we? He did not finish but she understood and, face blank and voice cold, refused. Forbidden to hoard romance points by abusing yourself. Tomorrow I will have someone bring a dishwasher. Hearing that he could only give up regretfully, seeing him dejected, she leaned in, rose on tiptoes, pecked her little pup once, be good, soothed him, then ran back to the sofa to play, covering the cheek she had kissed. He leaned on the wall and chuckled softly. What to do? He really liked her. With her around, even a broken world became much more pleasing to the eye. Van Han planned to skim the hot searches but slipped and tapped who washes the dishes again, just as she was about to back out. She saw a new top pin comment. In this survey it does not matter which side washes more. What is scary is that one side thinks about how to make both people happy while the other, upon meeting trouble, only thinks of pushing it to their partner to solve. Examples, curses, and objections filled the thread. Shaken, she fled to protect her 3 views. Another entry drew her eye. The XX bird officially declared extinct. She opened it and found that in recent years the climate had shifted clearly, summers too hot and winters too cold. The XX bird failed to adapt and on day X month X was officially declared extinct. Beneath the post, environmentalists raged, accusing humans of recklessly damaging the environment and driving species on the planet to decline. The next several comments were all condemnations, and just as she was about to leave a new reply shot up. Do not pity them. Extinction is as normal as the birth of species. Besides, it will soon be humanity's turn. The words were calm yet chilling, like an ordinary reply yet also suggestive. Very deep, perhaps because of the flat tone. Once the meaning was savored it made one's skin crawl, like presenting a settled fact hinting at humanity's fate. People below were already cursing. What silly take is that? A bird goes extinct so humans should too. Is that what you mean? Are folks now too sentimental? A bird's demise and you leap straight to human extinction. I admit danger crops up often lately, but human extinction, that is overblown. Stop tinting everything with anxiety. After a long while the same account returned to explain, since its formation, the planet has a history of about 4.6 billion years. About 65 million years ago the dinosaurs, once rulers of the Earth, ended roughly 160 million years of domination after an asteroid struck and waves of natural disasters battered the world. Modern human civilization has a history of about 1.6 million years, and civilization with written records about 5,000 years. If a string of natural disasters truly appeared and wiped away human
civilization, then after several thousand or several tens of millions of years a new species rising to rule the planet would not be impossible. People say the tide pool knows not the seasons. Compared with a planet existing for 4.6 billion years, humankind is very small. The more you know, the more you fear. Arguments that seemed idle and outcomes that seemed impossible turned out to have numbers behind them. Many were struck dumb, unable to find points to rebut. Some still insisted that humans would not be as useless as dinosaurs, that humanity's strength lay not in size or combat power but in intellect. The poster replied, "You need not persuade me. Whether humanity can win this war, time will prove." Then vanished from the thread. Human extinction theory. Van Hahn propped her chin and thought, yet another novelty added to the mix. She believed that in rough times failing to land a job for a while was normal, but to her surprise the very next day she received another interview invite. "Even if it is the end times, everyone is still this eager about jobs," she muttered. "If one must keep rolling, then roll to death. The striving spirit of wage earners persists whenever." "My name is Veen Hugh," said the interviewer, a woman about 27 or 28. "We are recruiting a personal assistant. After joining, you will often travel with the boss on business. Can you handle that?" Van Hahn hesitated. In the single days she could go the moment she said go. Now that she was supporting both old and young, any decision demanded forethought. After mulling, she answered, "I can." Her thought was that since the evolution game went public, most bosses could not survive the probation period. Likely 1 or 2 business trips would be enough to send off the boss, after which she would try to find work that did not require travel. "Good." Veen Hugh smiled and extended her hand. "On behalf of the team, I welcome you aboard." For some reason Van Hahn faintly felt this interviewer was overly enthusiastic. "May you not regret it later." At dinner Van Hahn announced she had found a new job and told Tu Dewey she would leave on a business trip early next morning. His hand paused. "How many days?" "Estimated 5 days," she said. His face visibly fell. She rubbed the big dog. "I promise I will be back soon." He was very reluctant yet still yielded. "Go on. Work matters." Yet the next morning when she called out, "I am heading out," and stepped through the doorframe, the air around him changed. Staring at the empty room, he did not want to clean, did not want to shop and cook, did not want to do anything. He sat on the floor by the sofa, quiet and mildewing. He did not know how much time passed before the doorbell rang. 1 chime, 2, 3, for the kind of rhythm that would keep pressing forever if no one answered. Not wanting to disturb the neighbors, he opened the door with a sour tone. "Who?" It was Lu Gi. He said nothing, but his gaze turned dangerous. At the critical moment Lu Gi blurted, "The boss told me to bring you a message." "Say it." Tu Dewey lounged against the door, clearly meaning, "Say it and roll." "The girl you like has been hired as the boss's assistant and is traveling with him to another city. The boss asks if you want to come." As he spoke, Lu Gi had already ready to retreat in case of a beating, yet Tu Dewey was too fast. Lu Gi only saw a blur and suddenly his throat was clamped and his back slammed to the wall. "What did you people do to her?" Tu Dewey's face was taut, his right hand tightening unconsciously. "No, nothing, just normal recruiting, an assistant posting." Lu Gi croaked, wondering why this cursed errand had fallen to him, and stammered, "The boss thinks if she goes you will go too." Really no other meaning, just a curve to save the nation. Tu Dewey calmed. Van Hahn was the darling of fate and the world always treated her kindly, unlike him, who even in peacetime had to struggle like a stray dog just to survive. He slowly released his hand. "What are you doing exactly?" Cough, cough. Lu Gi staggered back 3 or 4 steps, hacking before he said, "Is the boss not the second young master of an financial group? He holds a position there, though he only had money and did no work." He had bodyguard Veen Hugh Proctor on the spot, interviewed Van Hahn at a branch, hired her as assistant. Then wherever he goes she follows on business. Then you come back to be the boss's bodyguard and the two of you can split the dating costs, Lu Gi emphasized. "The boss says he does not mind office romance and does not care if he gets face slapped by dog food." "Did the boss burn his brain with a fever after I left?" To think of such a ragged plan, if the man were present. Tu Dewey swore he would plant 2 punches to let him experience the cruelty of society and learn why one must not hire bodyguards carelessly. Funny thing, he clearly disliked using violence, yet with that sort of person violent suppression was the simplest and most effective, meaning the other party only responded to that set. "There is a reason though." Lu Gi hurried to defend him. "Not long ago the boss met a gifted psychic. The person said deathly aura coils around him, a face of doom. Within less than a month he would either die or be gravely injured. The boss panicked and tried desperately to get you back. You refused. With no choice he came up with this damaging move, a face of doom." Tu Dewey sneered. "Because he did too many immoral things and got scared half to death when I beat him. That is why." Lu Gi shrank to the side, silent. The stalemate held. 2 Dewey neither said he would go nor said he would not, only kept quiet, and suddenly he understood how it felt when someone you cared for was in danger. At least go and take a look, Lugi urged again. Do you not have that early warning ability to sense the safety of your chosen targets? Limited to 3 people, what if you sense danger for the one in your heart while you are here and she is in another city and you cannot make it in time? At last his attitude softened.
Books.
I will go. Previously hold forward comment hashtag the male lead is a golden furred dog, gentle to people and strict to dogs. After beating another's dog he sits on its back with one butt and then turns to his own kennel wagging as if nothing happened hashtag, in the male lead's world only Han Han is a person. Everything else is a dog he can casually discipline. Of course in reality he does not actually beat dogs at random.